All right, guys, welcome back to the Short Story Long podcast. I'm your host, Sam Derrickson, joined by my co-host, Andrew Dial.
Hey, you guys.
And another special guest. Been a long time since we had a guest on here, so we've got
has.
John Flowers back. He was a guest previously. Say hello, John.
Hello.
All right, so we got a couple things to talk about. Was just got back on Friday night from the Hot Rod Power Tour. So we're going to talk about that in length. John was fortunate enough to join the tail end of that whole adventure, so we're going to talk about that. And then we're also coming off of cruise night on Friday night. So before we get into that, we got some listener emails. So the first one is from my sister,
Hell yeah.
Tiara. Episode 47 Hot Rod Power Tour. Said, by the time you see this, the tour will be over. Hope you had a great time and behaved yourself in my city. I did. Note, this should be read like the guy in Braveheart that said Ireland was my island. So, full disclosure, I haven't seen Braveheart since I was a little kid, so I don't even know what dialect she's talking about there, so I apologize.
Gonna have to look that up.
We'll have to look that up later. Dozer, so sorry the camping trip was so rough initially. We got flooded out of camping before, naturally after we set up everything. It sucks. Though we didn't have a tornado, you overachiever. And she said Sampage on gauges.
Oh, Rebecca Bickle texted me and said Sam had a gauge page.
Gauge page, yes. And then no way is there a lube called Panther Piss. So I don't know where you got me started on calling like PB Blaster Panther Piss.
I've heard that, yeah.
I don't know how I got on it, but
I mean, I've heard it a lot. I'm not sure what it comes from. So if anyone can Urban Dictionary, maybe that's not a good idea. But the etymology of Panther Piss, that would be great. So email us in and tell us the etymology of that. She said, yay, Sam got himself some New Balance shoes. Don't knock him, Dozer. When I was in basic training, that's the shoes they issue soldiers to handle the grueling PT and obstacle courses. And then she said, all cars, classic and otherwise, should 100% have cup holders and AC. So thank you, Tiara, for that. John, what's your opinion on AC and cup holders?
So, if I'm doing a car ride, like I would like to have a cup holder, but like everything that you put in a car, your stuff's pretty set up because you can hide it, but everything looks pretty trashy. Everything I've ever seen is really trashy, but I need some place to set my cup. So that 100%. Air conditioning also looks like trash underneath the hood, but on a long car ride it's handy. So I can go back and forth, love and hate both of them. But next year on the Power Tour, I will have a wagon with air conditioning and multiple cup holders, okay?
Because if you remember from the previous episode John was on, he is an HVAC tech and is pretty good at making air conditioning work when it doesn't. So, anything else?
You said 3 emails or all
Yes.
3 from your sister?
No, one was from Hank Dateman. He said, I'm loving the podcast. I just discovered it, and I'm only on episode 10 right now, but I am listening to 4 to 5 episodes per day. You may want to slow down. You may want to slow down.
Brain damage.
A, it'll cause brain damage. B, you're going to run out of podcasts in a hurry.
Get tired of listening to me clear my throat.
Yes. While sitting in the tractor all day. So hopefully we'll get caught up before too long. On episode 8, Dozer mentioned a book that I believe he said his grandma bought him about motorcycles. Something about one bike handled well and one had more power, so they did an engine swap. What was that book called?
Big Sid's Vincati. It's a Vincent and a Bucati or something mix. So it's Big Sid's, anyway, whatever I said.
So he piqued my interest, and my OCD won't let it go. Thanks, Hank Dateman. P.S. My absolute favorite topic is literally any time you talk about Dean Willenberg. I've known Dino for over 20 years, and when you talk about the not gonna happen or the Winston Ash seating those rings, it cracks me up. Like I said, I'm way behind, but if you haven't already done so, I think it would be an awesome episode if you could get him on the podcast as a guest. He's got a lot of great stories. Sorry this got so long, but according to my wife, I could probably pass you up on making something short into being way too long. So maybe, Hank, you could be on the podcast.
I'll be on the podcast.
We'd love to have you. And as far as Dean Willenberg's concerned, we got to get the mobile podcast stuff that I take out to California. We got to get it all squared away. and we got to do Dozer's grandpa, and then
Which he asked me tonight, when am I going to be on that podcast? I
He-
was like, anytime we can.
yeah, we'll look into that. We should get that going here soon, so that'd be cool.
I think that'd be really cool for your kids.
Yeah, well, that's what he goes, you don't want me on. So I'd like to have your stories recorded. You talk about starting Jedco, and, you know, there was, he had to sneak away from his wedding because his brother-in-law's, you know, it was like a tradition or something to like tie you up and like kidnap you so you couldn't go on your, so they had one car in front of the church that everybody thought they were leaving in, and, you know, everybody leaves and meets anyway, whatever. They snuck out the back of church, got in, and drove to Ohio.
Oh
And before they
Jesus!
could, yeah. That's where
Whoa.
they went on their honeymoon, was Ohio.
Okay.
So
Well, damn. So yeah, we'll have to have him on the podcast too.
he's
so.
got all kind of good stories.
I wish I would, like my grandfather, I was pretty young when my grandfather was getting older, and he never shared any like raunchy and funny stories with me because I was too young. I would love to hear some of them that are just gone with time.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be cool for your kids,
Yeah,
With-
I agree.
especially if it gets rowdy and they can listen to it 10 years from now.
There you go.
So then one more from Tierra, episode 33, cops, fake titles, and with Jeremy Kyle. So she asked, did Dozer ever sell all of his stuff and buy an airplane?
No, didn't.
He bought something
I bought
else
some more
instead,
stuff.
so we'll get to that later. And then OMG, I can't believe Dad tried to climb into the cop car. I'm a taxpayer. This is my car.
She can't believe it, really?
You really? She said this was a fun show and yes. So we need to have Jeremy back on too.
We do. He's a good time.
Was he the funny guy that talked about like?
He's the cop.
Oh, the cop guy that threw the chickens.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Tactical rooster deployment.
You may not know this, but I'm also a certified tactical rooster deployment officer.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about you the other day, Sam. I went up to Long Beach. My daughter was graduating, and some family came out, and I got to hang out with my my sister-in-law Summer's kid, and he wanted to go to a reptile museum, which I'm not the biggest fan, but the ladies definitely didn't want to go. So we went there and looked at a bunch of like crazy lizards and things I never knew existed, which was cool. But Long Beach is like full of like cool cars. They're always just out there cruising. I'm like, all right, kid. And there's other things to look at on Long Beach too. And I got a 13-year-old nephew. I'm like, all right, we're gonna look at some cars and stuff, kid. So we ride up there, and I came across like this huge. I know you guys made fun of me for air-cooled Volkswagens last time, and I do have a little bit of a thing for them. But there was this out on the pier that was just full of all the buses and trucks. You could air-cooled trucks and buses. You could see hundreds.
Which they had that in Effingham this weekend, too.
Bugfest.
Yeah.
I have to check it out. But I took
It's
some,
over now. Ship sailed.
So I took some sweet pictures of some cup holders for you, Sam.
Oh yes, is that like wooden?
Yeah, like
Describe to the audience what you were seeing.
Okay, so this is like a metal basket that somebody has wire rings to hold cups. The one before that was like one of those.
It's like a wicker, isn't it?
Well, it looks like something that would be a flat piece of wood, and then you like laser cut it to where there's relief in the wood. You can bend it into a curve. That's what it looks like, and it just clicks into the slots in the dash somehow. So good for them.
It's way easier to describe if you know what like the dash of a air-cooled bus or truck looks like. They're just straight vertical slots. But there were like some of the less tacky options for it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And
Thank you.
So, should we just do this in chronological order?
Sure.
Basically.
Sure.
Did we talk about your exhaust stuff? Do we want to go that far back?
We can go that far
I mean,
back.
It's going to be a 3-hour podcast,
That's
probably.
fine. That's fine. So,
I don't have work tomorrow.
Be nice.
2 weeks ago, directly after recording this podcast, I had an appointment in St. Elmo at Brown's Automotive to get mufflers put on the car. It was a big surprise for Amanda. I wanted quieter mufflers on that car because it's obnoxiously loud. And driving 1,300 miles, I thought it'd be nice to have a little bit quieter muffler on here just so it doesn't drone so bad going down the road.
Blasphemy.
Explained to him what I wanted, but I also wanted to have cutouts to really cause a ruckus pulling out of parking lots. So Dropped the car off, and he calls me the next day when it was supposed to be done. It's not going to be done because he forgot to order the mufflers, his bad or whatever. So he got his warehouse guy or whatever, sent him a set of mufflers. They'd be there on Thursday, and he'd get it buttoned up, pick it up Thursday night. Well, his warehouse guy determined that this was the muffler he needed. It's a chambered and packed muffler, so it's supposed to reduce drone and be good to go. So I go there Thursday night to pick it up, and he explains to me that it, this is what I did, this is that, whatever. Paid him, went out to, he's like, you want to check it out? Yeah, sure. So we got to the car, and he explains to me that I think these mufflers are a little louder than the ones we just cut off of here. And I'm like, I didn't cause a scene or nothing, but like, I'm disappointed. Like, the whole point of this was to make it quieter, and it is louder. It has a deeper, throatier sound, which is good, but it's overall a slightly louder muffler because it's got less baffles in it, but it is packed. So it cackles like a old square body Chevy with a clapped out 350 in it, which which driving through the hills and hollers like we did, reverberating off like the stone walls lining the highway, it was loud. I mean, obnoxiously loud. So got it back, and then Thursday night I drove it up to Mike Conrad's to wire in the cutouts. No big deal. I had all the inside wiring done, good to go. We ran the wires out the firewall, down along, tucked them up, all nice, good to go. Plugged everything in. Only one of the two cutouts worked. So this is kind of a bad situation. So we did a little diag in, back and forth, and basically determined that, so it came with a kit, was 2 Y pipes, 2 cutouts, and 2 switches and 2 control boxes, and basically one side times 2. And we switched the wires, found out that it was in fact the switch or the control box that was bad. Replaced the switch, same problem, so we determined the control box was bad. They sell like this Y cable, and it allows you to run 2 cutouts off of one switch instead of wiring both control boxes to one switch. So, okay, so it was going to be like a week and a half from the cutout company, but looking at it, it's just a 5.5 millimeter 12 volt DC power cord, just a round plug-in power cord. I mean, like all your old appliances, like telephones and stuff like that, had a plug-in like that for DC power. So I got on Amazon and found a bunch of them that were going to show up on Monday. And I was like, well, this is no good. I'm leaving Monday. So I found a set that was going to show up on Saturday. It was a few more dollars, but worth it to get it before we left. So I ordered it, waited around on Saturday, never showed up, broke the news to Amanda that we aren't going to have cutouts, and it's in fact louder instead of quieter. And she informed me that's what I get for trying to keep a secret from her. So I got pretty pissed off because Saturday came and went, and no pigtail ever showed up. So I was like, what the fuck? Got a hold of Amazon. They were basically like, oh, it'll be here on Tuesday. I said, well, that's no good. I'm leaving on a trip. And they're like, well, basically eat shit. Sorry about you. And so I got to poking around, and I've never done this before, but you can, if you live in a big city, they have Amazon lockers where you order something and it just shows up at a sketchy ass gas station in a little brown or blue box outside the gas station. You scan your phone and the door opens and your package is in there.
Nice.
So I was like, well, Monday we're going to be in Bowling Green. Well, there was no lockers available in Bowling Green. They were all out of commission. Well, day 2 was Nashville. So I ordered another set of pigtails, had them delivered to a locker in Nashville. I was like, this is the shit, right? So ordered that and went to bed on Sunday night, just ready to go. Like, we're going to do this thing. And we had initially planned to leave at 10 o'clock. So I kind of ran around all Monday morning getting everything ready to go for the trip. Had everything packed in the car, ready to go. And we set off. I mean, we just take off at 10 a.m. and it's about a 4-hour drive to Bowling Green if you're just going down there in a car, pickup truck or whatever. And we didn't really dilly-dally. We didn't get in any hurry. You know, we had to stop for fuel a couple times and pulled off south of, is it Louisville down there south before you get to, damn it, what's the...
Flora?
Flora, yeah.
Yeah, so Louisville,
So we get around Louisville and my oil pressure starts fluttering, which it did this once on the fall run last year, which is why I parked the car and decided to change my oil dipstick situation. And so we pulled over, checked the dipstick. I ended up putting 3 quarts in it to get it up to the right level.
Oh, wow.
And I misread my dipstick in that I saw some oil residue, thinking that was the oil level. And when I put more oil in it, then I could see an actual oil line on the dipstick.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, okay, well, that's what it was. It was a little low this morning. We're good. So put 3 quarts in it. The lifter tap goes away, and we cruise on, stop for fuel, check the oil again. It's down a quart. Like, okay, so put a quart in it. And at this point, the first day I put a gallon of oil in this car. And I don't know if Dozer called me or texted or whatever, but we were kind of concerned about it, which my notes are upstairs about this, but I kind of got it in my noggin. So we ended up making it to Bowling Green about 5:30. And they had the check-in, sign-in area was at the Corvette Museum. Not the museum, but the Corvette Motorsports Park. Like, they have their own motorsports park just for Corvettes, and then there's Beach Bend Raceway. Well, the actual venue event, get together, whatever, was at Beach Bend, but you had to go get your credentials first before they let you in at Beach Bend. Well, by the time we got checked in and everything at the Corvette place, it was 6 o'clock. So there was no use of going to Beach Bend, but we didn't have to because we already had our cards punched for the day one. So no big deal. We found our hotel room or whatever and got everything kind of just settled down, decided to go to dinner and had a really nice Mexican dinner and went back and drank a bunch of beers in the parking lot of the hotel and watched Burnouts all night. And it was a really cool time. You know, we're just having a good time. So Tuesday morning, get up and we're going to Nashville, which is only an hour away from Bowling Green. And we take off and stop for fuel again and put another quart of oil in it. And we get to Nashville and not a big deal, but this whole time we're kind of discussing with ourselves back and forth, like, where can all this oil be going? Because it does leak a little, but not quarts and quarts of it. And if it was burning it, it would be smoking out of the tailpipes. And we're, I don't know, just hanging out. We walk around the Nashville Super Speedway, check everything out, and just having a good old time. We got the pop-up tent set up. We're drinking some beer, hanging out, looking at cool cars. And everyone starts to leave. It's like the venue closed at 6. Everyone starts to leave around 3 o'clock. But then it's pretty much a solid line of cars leaving for 3 hours until the place closes. And we decided that I should check my plugs, you know, see if they're oil soaked or whatever. If it's burning that much oil, then it's obviously going to be reading on the plug. So number 2, 4, 6, and 8 is on the passenger side, and that's the side that I was able to get the valve cover off and install those spark plug tube seals. So that would be the easiest to check the plugs on. So 2 and 4 were fine. They were a little darker than ideal, but I knew that going into it. Still run a little bit on the rich side. And, you know, go ahead, put them back in. Well, plug number 6, the wire wouldn't really come off of it. And kind of got to tugging and pulling. And finally it popped loose. And I was like, damn, that was kind of stiff. And then looked at the plug wire in my hand, and it looked a little different than the rest of the plug wires that I had off. The plug wire broke. The silicone boot broke in half and left the actual metal clip on the spark plug. And I had half a spark plug wire in my hand. So I was like, well, this is not a good situation. I shouldn't have messed with it. I shouldn't have pulled the plugs. I was getting a little bit Sampagey about the whole deal. And so Irv and Trent and Travis Haney, they kind of swung into action and got to messing with it. And I brought a pretty limited full set of tools, but not extensive set of tools. So I have the really nice new Snap-on indexable needle nose pliers. Well, I bought the small pair because I didn't think I'd need the extra long pair. Well, guess what wouldn't fit down in that spark plug tube? So basically they were screwing around with it, and I was like, I need to get a hold of a Snap-on dealer, and I need to get a long pair of needle nose over here. And I was like, I'm in Nashville. Surely there's a Snap-on dealer. So I call the Snap-on customer support line. I said, who's the dealer for this area? And they gave me a guy's phone number. So I call that dude, and he's like, well, I don't do that area. I don't know why they gave you my name. I'm actually getting ready to go to the monthly meeting here in a little bit. Let me give you the number to the guy that runs that area. And
you couldn't get the homeboy hookup? You didn't tell him your...
Oh yeah, I told him. He didn't give a shit.
You didn't put no respect on your name?
No.
Oh,
Man.
unreal.
So I got a hold of the other dealer who actually runs that area, and he's like, dude, it's not my day to go to Lebanon, Tennessee, and none of my guys are in the area. And I was like, well, I guess more than ply, because at this point we were messing around with a pick and some vice grips, and like we got it to where the metal was off the spark plug and to where we could get a spark plug socket down on it, but there was some chunks of silicone down in the spark plug tube. We didn't want those going in the cylinder. So we didn't have an air compressor per se. We had like the Milwaukee air pump, tire pump thing, and we were trying to like get it to blow the rubber out of the spark plug tube, and we couldn't really get that because it doesn't really flow enough to just blow something out. So we were like, well, let's set the tire pressure to 90 and then like hold your thumb on it and then like get it to shotgun it out of there.
I talked about that in shop class when I was a kid.
And so that ended up working. If you held the like power button down, it would actually do that. So pro tip, if you need to like get a burst of air out of a Milwaukee tire pump, you have to hold down the inflator button to override the automatic shutoff feature or whatever, because obviously a tube of hose that's like 9 inches long is going to get to 90 psi in a hurry, unlike a tire, so it thinks the tire's pumped up. So anyway, they got the trash out there, and so I told the guys, like, more so than a tool at this point, I need to find a set of plug wires. Because, like, small block Chevy, Irv had a set of plug wires for a small block Chevy. It would have fit a 440 or any other normal V8 or any other engine on that property by far. Irv had a set in the trunk that would have fit every engine on the property except for a Hemi.
Which I want to interject, and on 4/26, on April 26th, one of the car pages had like Happy Hemi Day or something. Is Summit Racing, and a guy commented on there, oh yes, the engine loved by all but those who own one, and I tagged Sam.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
What a good friend.
I agree, 100%. I agree. So,
4.6s have shitty spark plugs too.
yeah.
I'm with you.
So anyway, I said, you know anybody that's big into Mopars? Because no one's gonna have a set of plug wires like just in stock at AutoZone or whatever. Mm-hmm. This is gonna be a specialty thing. Do you by chance know anybody that's big into Mopars? And he said, oh yeah, I got just what you need. He's a really good guy, blah, blah, blah. Big into Mopars. He'll hook you up. He'll have what you need. He gave me his name and phone number. So I called that guy. He said, it's such and such performance. So I call him, and I told him what I was up against. He's like, dude, I don't have anything for a gas engine. I do Cummins stuff. And I'm like, well,
Make me sick.
I guess that's big Mopar stuff. It's
Right.
just not what I need. And so I explained to him, hey, this is what I need. You know anybody? And he's like, yeah, this guy will have what you need. Gave me another phone number. Called that guy. He's like, dude, I don't have what you need, but this guy does. So he gives me another phone number. So I call that guy, and he's like,
Sam's running this like networking like it's 1993.
oh yes, dude. It's like
had a
NASCAR
Rolodex.
pit crew stuff. There's like 3 guys under the hood of my car getting the spark plug issue figured out, and I'm on the phone just like I got my manila envelope full of phone numbers. I'm like
Right.
crossing them out as I'm going, And he's like, I can only think of 2 people. Like, I don't have what you need. I got all big block stuff. I can only think of 2 people that would have what you need. This fab shop, or this Alky Diggers place. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he explains, like, Alky Diggers is like drag racing shit. I was like, okay, fine. So he's like, I'll try to get a hold of him and I'll call you back. So, like, honestly, Tennessee, right? Nashville, like, I have not, like, I've been to Tennessee a lot, mostly for riding side by sides. And I've never met somebody from Tennessee. Like, a lot of tourists in Tennessee that are assholes. But from Tennessee, I have never met a person that I didn't like that was from Tennessee.
That's why I want to move there.
So shout out to Tennessee for being a fucking awesome place.
Go Tennessee.
So this guy's like, I'll get a hold of these people if I can, and I'll call you back. So I tried calling tried to find a number for this fab shop place, and couldn't find. Like, I found a Yelp, or not Yelp, LinkedIn profile for the owner of this like fab shop, and it was like, is this you? Do you want to claim this profile? I'm like, no, I want to call this asshole, you know. And then so then I was like, well, shoot, I'll just find out who this Alky Diggers thing is. And I looked on Google, couldn't find nothing. Google brought me to Facebook, and the only thing on Facebook I found was like at a drag strip. They had a billboard at a drag strip with like all their shit on it.
This is getting deep.
So like I click on the picture and zoom in, and I write their phone number down off the picture of their fucking billboard.
You could have screenshot it with an iPhone.
Yeah, but then how do you screenshot and how do you flip back to your fucking picture, your phone, to call it?
I'll show you later.
Anyway, so I call this Alky Diggers place, and they're like, hey, our hours are blah, blah, blah to 5. And it was, at this point, it's 4:30. I'm like, well, motherfucker, answer your phone.
Yeah, that's your hours, dude.
So I leave a message like, hey, this is my name. This is from after, blah, blah. And so I hang up the phone, and I go back to fucking with the spark plug deal, and they got the piece of rubber out. We pulled the spark plug out, and they were like rubbing the like carbon off the spark plug, and we were gapping him as we were going. And when he went to gap it, a piece of the porcelain insulator flaked off. He's like, do you want to run this? Like, no, I got 16 fucking spark plugs in the trunk. We're going to put a new spark plug in it. So put a new spark plug in it. Phone rings. It was the guy I called before Alky Diggers. He's like, hey, I got a hold of them. They got what you need. And they said they'll stay open for you till 7 o'clock if you want to come and get it. I'm like, awesome. Sounds great. Well, then Alky Diggers called me back, and they're like, got what you need? We'll stay open until 7 o'clock. And at this point, it's 5:30. Mm-hmm. And Google says it's an hour and 10 minutes to get there. It's only 22 miles away, but it is through downtown Nashville. So I was like, well, we got to go, you know. And they got...
You're driving on 7 then? Or?
No.
Oh, sorry.
So they got all the pieces out of the spark plug tube, got a new spark plug put in it. Okay. So John just showed me you can click on a picture that has a phone number and it automatically pops it up. Hey,
I'm here to help.
Score a win for iPhones. Anyway, so we're taking a look at the spark plug wire, and really, as far as spark plug wires are concerned, like if you ever had to build your own set of spark plug wires, you strip off the thick insulation, and then you leave, I don't know, a half an inch of wire. You fold it back on the insulation, then crimp the thing on it. Well, we had all the pieces, so we re-crimped it and took what little insulation we had and electrical taped it all together, and I just gingerly put it back on the plug, clicked it, heard it click, stopped. I didn't, like, there's like a rubber plug that you slide down over the spark plug tube to make it look all legit. I just left it all dangly and fired the car up. It ran. I was like, all right, we're good. Let's go. Because it's going to take 20 minutes to get out of this venue and then an hour drive across town. So, like, before we left, I Google Maps this place, and, like, it's nothing. Like, I figured if I had a big fucking huge-ass shop that did drag race and shit, I'd have at least a sign out front. So that when they talked to me, they said, yeah, we're right by the marathon station between this building and this building. Can't miss it. It's 406, whatever the street. Okay. So we get there, and we drive through some pretty sketch part of town. Like, we weren't in the sketch part of town when we got to where we were going, but we were close. Like, real uncomfortable close to the sketch part of town. And Amanda's like, there it is, 406. So I slam on the brakes, and I pull in this parking lot that's the size of my basement. And there's already 3 full-size pickup trucks in this parking lot, and there's a full-size Suburban lowered and my car getting ready to pull in this parking lot. And if you know anything about, like, a lot of big cities, I don't know what it is about their infrastructure, but there's a lot of hills down in Tennessee, and they don't build shit flat. So the approach to get into this dude's parking lot is pretty steep, and he drug his trailer hitch going on this guy's all the way into this parking lot. And we got in there, and there was another guy leaving with a part, and they was talking to the owner or whatever, and the owner Mike and his assistant Braden, I believe, or Brody, not sure which one it is, but they let us in the door, and I was like, guys, like I trouble you for a bathroom? Like we've been in traffic for an hour and I've been drinking all day. I need to take a piss. So he let us all 4 of us use the restroom or whatever, and we got out, and like as soon as you walk in this, it's like a doctor's office. There's a small hallway and there's office like offset from each other. You're like, okay, and then you go into like this dark little shipping room or whatever, and then the bathroom is on the left. And then when you were turning the corner to go in the bathroom, it opens up into a workshop, and there's like, if you ever seen a Top Fuel dragster, they've got this hat that sits on top of the blower, and it's about 3 foot wide, and it's got 4 great big flappers on it. Mm-hmm. There was one of those just sitting on the workbench in there, just all carbon fiber, just sexy as fuck, right? And kind of drooling a little bit. So we get out of there, and he's like, all right, you were looking for, like, he gives the guy the part number, and he goes back in the back, and he's just talking, telling us a story, and we're just kind of walking around, just wide-eyed, looking at all the stuff, and he tells us what this is, tells us, like, okay, this room we've got this room we got this, and super long story short, he had $2.5 million in inventory. They do $6.5 million in sales every year, and there's a marijuana dispensary across the street from him and a gas station next door with bars on the windows. So they said, we don't really want to advertise what's in here. That's why we don't have a sign outside. And so super long story short, he told us, that they build their own manifolds or blow up. Like they take off the shelf manifolds and machine them to fit blowers. And they do it for all makes and models, Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, 440 and Hemi stuff. And he tried to sell me a blower for my Hemi, and then he tried to sell me a blower for my 440, and then he tried to sell Chris a blower for his 454 and his Burb. And so we go back, and they had these spark plug wires were all the way in the back of the place, and he gives them to me. He's, you want red or black? He said, okay. They're normally $350. I'll do 2. You play. Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
MSD Hemi plug wires are $350.
Wow.
And so he goes,
Camaro, bud.
yeah. So he's like, are you paying cash or card? I said, I'm paying cash. He said, okay, I'll do $280 for him. And we had a bunch of t-shirts, and I was like, can we buy these t-shirts? He's like, oh yeah, they're $25 a piece. I'll do $18 a piece on them. So I gave the dude $320, and I was like, I don't need any change, whatever, thanks a lot. And then Chris brought some t-shirts, and then the owner Mike comes out with a bag full of stickers, which I'll give you guys both one before you leave. And he's like, I was like, what do you want for these? Like, you can just have them. And he said, we do a lot on
John's struggling with the
on
refrigerator here.
word of mouth. And any good publicity is, welcomed or whatever.
So are these all makes and model stickers, or these are all Alky Digger stickers?
Oh, all Alky Digger stickers.
Okay.
So, anyway, we get ready to leave, and he's like, is that a real Hemi in that car? I was like, well, no, it's a 440. I just want to put Hemi plug wire. Yes, it's a fucking Hemi. So he comes out, and he looks at it or whatever. And so this guy, he explains, like, and I wish I could remember now. I left my phone in the car charging because it was dead. I wish I could remember now all the brands he told you. There's 4 different brands that like aren't like your name, like your Holly and MSD and all this, but they're like I recognize the names of them, like this type of fuel pump and this type of ignition system and this type of this and that, like 4 different brands. He is the number 1 retailer in the world for.
Okay.
And he was talking about all the stuff that they do there. That's when he told me the inventory and the annual sales and everything. And basically anything from mild to wild they build, but they primarily build like the nostalgia super stock stuff, but they build a couple top fuel teams. They build blowers for them. They build a lot of pro mod type stuff, but primarily this, like their bread and butter is this like top alcohol gasser style nostalgia stuff. And he said, it started as a hobby and trying to make money on my hobby because he raced all this stuff growing up. Kind of like, we talked about before, like Don Garlitz and John Force. Like back then, there was no barrier to entry. Like you could go buy nitromethane at the hardware store or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, he turned a hobby into a $6.5 million a year business, and he was pretty proud of that fact. And I was happy for him too. And so we go outside and we look at the cars and we look at the Suburban, and he tells me that he ordered and received the very first GTX in the state of Tennessee in 1967, and it was a 440 with 2 4s and a 4-speed with an 8-inch clutch. And he said, I was 18 years old, and nobody, not me or any of my friends, could hold that clutch pedal down for more than 2 minutes. And stoplights around here last a long time. And he said by the time he got done at a stoplight, your leg was shaking. And he talked about drag racing that GTX back in the day and everything else. And then the kid, Braden or Brody or whatever his name is, he has a Chevelle that he drag races, and I added him on Facebook, and I saw some pictures of that, and it looked pretty fucking wild. And he told me, and so this is for all of our listeners out there, if you're still listening after all this rambling, they said anything you need MSD, because they obviously had MSD plug wires, said, I know you can get it anywhere. I try to give you between, he said 6 and 8% off, whatever he can to get to beat like the Summit and the Jags and stuff. And he said, I'll get you the best deal I can on shipping. You like, just think of us first. If you're needing something, I can get anything in the product catalog. And I was like, honestly, you guys hook me up. I don't order MSD stuff very often, but the next time I do, you'll be my first call. So I'll put a link to their Facebook or their website or something in the show notes. If you need anything, get a hold of these guys because they are first-class, top-notch dudes. They close at 5, and they said if they get out of there before 7, it's a good day. And like I said, when I got there, expecting them to be, checking their watches, waiting on me, they were helping another dude with some blower tensioner part. And they're just a great group of guys. So if you're wanting to keep your business with a small mom and pop shop and you need some MSD stuff, I'd say give these guys a call. So they're still in the box in the back of the car. I just wanted them in case I had another failure. I had a set of plug wires to get me by. But the reconstructed spark plug wire is still holding up. So
okay, so you never even put it on the car.
Never put it still.
I mean, you'll need to eventually.
Oh yeah, I will. I mean, I'm gonna use them. I'm not gonna throw them away. But yeah, they didn't need used, and I didn't want to mess with them before needing to, because obviously messing with it is what got me into
got you where you're at
predicament in the first place.
So we'll pause your story because my life was happening at this point as well.
All right,
if we're gonna do chronological.
Sure.
So we leave you on Tuesday night.
Yes, this was Tuesday night.
So I'm going to rewind my life back to our last podcast. And, we're talking about the Falcon. I'm getting all juiced up. Another year at T-Town Cruise Night that I don't have the Falcon going. And I decide I'm going to do one thing a night on it. So I go home.
That's what helped me.
Yeah, I go home and pull the exhaust off the car. When I say pull it off, I mean it was sitting on top of the motor from when I showed Jeremy Kyle my setup. So I drug it in. I was like, okay, well, I'll get the welder set up. I'm not going to weld any. So I changed, because I'd weld a lot of aluminum, and I changed my setup to weld stainless. So I changed my setup over. I was like, oh, well, while I got it changed over, I'll just run a couple beads. And, I run a full 3-foot stick of filler. Okay. So every night I'm going out there doing, my goal is when I sit down, I do 3 foot of filler, which when the fit up's tight and it's thin metal, you can do a lot of welding with 3 foot of filler. Mm-hmm. And a lot of welding needs to be done. So I'm like 3 or 4 days into this, and there's been, Sam saw it too. There's been a Camaro for sale alongside the highway about 2 miles, 3 miles west of my house. And we drove by it, bringing Sam's car to get exhaust. And there's no for sale sign on it, but it's parked like it's for sale.
Sure.
So
isn't that every 70s GM that I can see from the road?
Yeah.
That's all of them to me.
I know what I got.
If it was a Mopar, I'm going to fix it up one day, not for sale.
Oh, dude, I've been ran off many yards. I'm okay with it.
You don't get what you don't ask for, you know.
That's right.
So Sunday I had to help my dad on our hunting property, and on the way there I noticed there's a for sale sign in it. I was like, okay. So on the way home, like, I'm gonna stop. So I'm driving home, and I remember, like, I'm like 100 yards from it. I'm like, oh, that car, it's got a for sale sign in it. So I jam on the brakes, pull over, look at the car, no price on the for sale sign, which just bugs the shit out of me. So I wasn't gonna call because I'm a millennial, you know. So I text the number, how much are you asking for your Camaro? Head home. It's like 30 minutes later, I don't hear anything. I'm like, it's probably some old dude that don't know how to text. So,
Sure.
you know, sorry about you, you know. So I get a text, 5,300 is what I'm asking, but I'm open offers. And he starts texting me, you know, new tires, this, that, needs this, needs that. Open offers. And I'm mowing at this point, and so every now and again I kind of check my phone. I don't know, did I call you or text you? I think I called you.
Yeah, I think you called me.
Like,
Yeah.
what do I do about this? Well, of course you call your buddy, and he's just like, "Yep, you got to buy it," you know. And,
I was zero help in this situation.
and
Bad influences. Better than no influences.
so I text the guys like, "I've only got, you know, $4,000 to my name, and which I've got more than that, but that doesn't matter." And if you would sell it for that, he's asking 5,300. If you'd sell it for $4,000, I would be interested. I never said I would take it. And he's like, yeah, I can meet you at 5 o'clock to look at it. I said, well, I've got plans at 5. We were going to eat dinner with my parents. I can either meet you now, it was 4:30, or at 7:30 tonight. And he's like, well, I'll just meet you there now. So I drove over there, looked at it, and I was kind of, and then he pointed out that a carport had blown over onto the roof of the car, and the roof of the car was like smashed in. I was like, I'm not really that interested, but it was clean on the bottom. So I said, well, you know, I'll take it. And the guy, I said, I want to see the title. He said, well, I don't have the title. It's at the bank in a lockbox. Well, it wasn't in a lockbox. It was at the bank because there's a lien on a 1980 Camaro.
Yeah, if
Way God intended.
if we passed a few trailer parks on this trip, and a lot of the cars in the trailer park were nicer than a lot of the cars on the power tour, and that really made my heart happy.
Yeah.
I take offense to that.
So he's like, well, I'll get the title and let you know. And at this point, I was like over it. Like, I'm making good progress on the Falcon. This is going to ruin it. So he texted me the next day, hey, I got the title. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not interested anymore. He's like, I didn't know there was a lien against the car at this point. I thought he told me he had to get it out of the lockbox. He's like, oh, you know, the bank signed it over to me, and they told me I had to have the money back to him by tomorrow. Otherwise, it's a $500 fee to redo, and like freaks out on me. I'm like, well, I'm not interested in it. Like, and you know, he was trying. Well, they put a lien against it without me knowing, and all, like, just bullshit.
Sure,
you know?
yeah.
And I was like, I'll give you $3,000. He's like, oh, we decided on 4. I said, no, we decided on 4 yesterday. Like, today's a different day. You know? And I was like, I don't want it. And he was just like, oh, this fucks me over really bad. And, you know, I'm trying to buy a house. And I was like, I'll give you $3,000. He's like, how about 3,700? I was like, okay. So me and the kids went and bought it, left it sit there, like first time I ever bought a car, and drove away, you know.
Hell yeah.
I was like, I'll come back for it later. And I was like, can it sit here for, I mean, it was 2 miles from my house, but he's like, yeah, whatever. Because I didn't have a ride. My wife plays pickleball on Monday nights. So
Pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball's huge.
Big T-Town thing.
So I text her, I said, hey, when you get off pickleball, I need a ride to Cape Town. She's like, for what? I was like, you know. Had a really bad exhaust leak. Bad exhaust leak. Got it home. All the header bolts on one side were like finger tight. And so he had put a header gasket on there already. Had all brand new ARP bolts. I just, you know, loosened it. You got to take the middle ones out and leave the outside ones loose. Pull the old one out, it's blown to shit.
Yep.
Put the new one in that was in the back of the car with 400 Monster Energy drinks, the dude's steroids, his weed, and all of his Ariat hats.
Nice.
And Did you like my you can't smell a picture?
Yes.
It had black
Yeah.
ice.
Black
air
ice.
fresheners.
Yes.
That's dead giveaway.
Yeah.
But put it back together. It's fine. Needs some other work, but at this point, I'm like, we're gonna have a burnout car for cruise night.
Hell
it's perfect.
yes.
So I'll end my story there. We'll pick up Wednesday morning with Sam.
Okay, so Wednesday morning, we leave the hotel in Nashville, and we have a haul from Nashville, Tennessee, all the way back to the other side of northern Kentucky to Louisville. It's a long way. Like, I didn't realize how long it was, but it's a long way. And so we take off, and the Power Tour has an official route, and we haven't taken it yet. Mostly because the official route is like a pretty direct route and had some construction issues and some interstate we didn't want to take, and just a lot of things we didn't really like about the route. Not to mention that, you know, your typical 2-lane road, when you add 7,000 cars to that traffic pattern, it changes how everything works in that traffic pattern, mostly with intersections. And, you know, if you're 2 cars back at a light and the light turns green, you can get through that intersection. But if you're 300 cars back at that light and 2 cars, 3 cars can go at a time, you're sitting at that light for a long time. So at this point, our route met up with the official route. And we stayed at a different hotel Tuesday night. Us and Gebhardt stayed at a different hotel than Marlene, Gary, and the Haneys. So we decided that instead of trying to meet back up at the racetrack, we would all drive an hour towards the next venue and meet up at this junction. So that's where we met the actual official route, and they beat us there by a pretty good margin because, they left earlier than they were supposed to, 1, and 2, we got to a stoplight that was legitimately an hour wait at the stoplight. The line of cars was 2.5 miles long, stopped. And it was kind of cool that there was that many cars there, but not cool that we had to wait forever. There was a couple people that were kind of chatting back and forth because, you know, it takes a long time for that traffic wave, so to speak, to make its way 2 miles back. So you're sitting for a while. And one guy was in front of Gebhardt in another Suburban, lower but not quite as low, and they got a picture together and stuff. And people were walking off in the woods to assumably take a shit or take a piss or whatever. Find mushrooms maybe. And so we get up to this gas station, and now we're on the official route. We stop and get fuel and, you know, take a leak or whatever. And I buy the Haneys some beer for helping me out yesterday because it was kind of a shit situation. I was super glad that they really saved my ass. And this gas station hadn't seen this much action since their grand opening day. You know what I mean? Like, this place was packed, and there was a cop outside directing traffic at the stoplight. And there was a line for the men's restroom for 20 minutes. Like, if you can believe a line at a men's restroom, like, it was like a concert. Like, it was bad. So we fast forward, we get out of this gas station. Now we're on the official route for about 2 hours. And it was honestly my favorite part of the whole tour because this is Wednesday morning, about 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock. And every gas station along this route, every gas station, and there's a bunch, only dwarfed by the number of Dollar Generals. So, pro tip, if you want to get drunk, do the Power Tour in the South and take a shot every time you pass a Dollar General. You'll be hammered before lunchtime. So anyway, it was so cool because every gas station was a car show. There was 10 or 12 classic cars at the gas station getting fuel, getting snacks, getting drinks or whatever. People walking around talking. I mean, it looked like a little mini Cars and Coffee at every single gas station. And there was so many spots along the route on hillsides, in parking lots, where people and whole families were just camped out, sitting in lawn chairs under an easy up tent in the back of pickup trucks, just watching the parade of cars go by. And
did you give out any of your Hot Wheels?
That was my next thing.
Okay.
So I went and I bought $28 worth of Hot Wheels at Walmart before we left. And I thought that should be enough. No. So there was people and I didn't know. I had no idea. There was people that had hundreds, 150, 200, 300 Hot Wheels cars they were handing out.
Dang.
Easy.
And by far the greatest feel, like, gives me goosebumps to even think about it. You pull up and there's between 4 and 12-year-old kids out there with their mom and dad, and their eyes are as big as dinner plates. They're jumping up and down. They're screaming and hooping and hollering. And you pull up next to them. You just kind of pull off the side of the road, and you reach and you hand them out a Hot Wheels car. And
I imagine the Hot Wheels is between two fingers.
Oh yeah, and they're just ecstatic. They are just lit, like. And when I told Amanda, I said, a lot of kids these kids' age, like, they're in the house playing Fortnite, or like it's summertime, they're off school. They could be doing anything. They could be fucking off in the house, eating ice cream, playing Fortnite, or whatever they're doing. But instead, they're out there with their mom and dad, and like, this is the next generation of car guys. And like the meme on Facebook is every guy's car collection starts with a 97-cent toy. And I took great care in buying American muscle car Hot Wheels. It's not easy to find, which we talked about in the last podcast. And it warmed my heart to know that, like, there's still good people in this world that care. And, contrary to what the left and the media says, like, electric cars are the future. Like, no, every time
boxes are the future.
Chris was in front of me with a 6-speed big block freaking Suburban, right?
I had no idea it has 6-speed in it.
It has 6-speed.
It's way cooler.
Oh yeah. So every group of guys and kids and adults alike sitting on the side of the road, that every time they'd holler, he'd drop it into fucking neutral and bam, bam, bam. He'd just cackle the pipes for them, and they just start screaming. Oh my God, it was the best experience. So if you don't go for Power Tour for any other reason, go to hand out Hot Wheels to little kids. And then there's so many posts on Facebook today of, like, people posting their Hot Wheels collections, like this little kid, like, with a bed full of Hot Wheels, just like grinning from ear to ear, like, nice. Like, it's better than Christmas, you know what I mean? So that was the greatest thing. And so we get into Louisville after a long drive, and the traffic there is so biggest disappointment about the whole thing was everybody on Facebook just bitching about everything.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Dude,
and I don't know if you guys saw, like, like
dirt roads on a prom when you have a shit box.
So it blew my, like, if there could have been anything to complain about, it was complained about. So people talking about traffic. You take 7,000 people and put them anywhere in the world, that's gonna cause a traffic situation, and it's not Hot Rod Magazine's fault that there's 7,000 people trying to get a 2-lane road into a venue. Like, it's not their fault, right? So that kind of sucked, but the traffic did, cause some issues. And
was there complaining in person or just mostly on the internet?
Only on the internet.
Oh,
Nobody said shit in person.
No, they were complaining in the parking lot in Louisville.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. They're like, well, at least today was better. I'm like, dude, I'm having a good time. Why are you being Debbie Downer?
Yeah.
Where's John come in on this story?
Wednesday night.
Okay, so we're getting there.
So,
John, prepare yourself. You're about to be a character in this story.
So Monday, the weather was beautiful. You couldn't ask for better. It was like 65, 70 degrees. It was amazing. The girls were cold. Tuesday, it was 70, 75. Amazing. Even in the sun, you weren't hot. And, a lot of these are taking place on asphalt parking lot where it's pretty warm in the sun. And like I said, Nashville, no big deal. Wasn't hot at all. The girls were actually a little chilly under the shade, of the of the canopy. Wednesday, it started to warm up. Not bad, but it was 80, right? So in a shit box, you have a big difference in ambient temperature on your cooling system's efficiency. So if you have an okay cooling system at 75 degrees outside, you're not going to have an issue. If it goes up to 85 ambient temperature, that's when you're going to see that issue come to light. You know, you may get by with a questionable cooling system, but when you add some ambient temperature to the mix, you start to see some issues. So we suspect that the Suburban had a sticky thermostat, because in that line of traffic for 2 hours waiting on the light to turn green, we had no problem. It stayed at 180 all day. But then when we got to Louisville, it got to 210, then 220, and we got to the next light, and then it went from 220 to 260 in about a minute and a half. So he pulled off into White Castle parking lot, shut it down, put a fan on it, had a Milwaukee fan with us, and let it cool a little bit. And we noticed that it was leaking some antifreeze out of the lower radiator hose at the water pump. So got it tightened up, and it had a 19-pound cap on his aftermarket radiator. It was what?
16.
No, the initial cap was 19 pounds. Like the build aluminum cap was 19 pounds.
Oh, the one I have in my center console is 16.
Yeah, the one we got at O'Reilly's. So anyway, I ended up staying with him, and then the Haneys and the Wines run off to the venue to get our card stamped. We wanted to get it cooled all the way down before we took off. So we got in my car and left the girls in the ghetto and went to O'Reilly's. And never in my life have I been to any business, let alone an O'Reilly's, at normal business hours, is 5:30, and it was closed. Like the lights were all on and people were in the parking lot. There was a guy out there scanning this girl's battery or something. And I was messing with my tranny fluid, checking my tranny fluid and stuff, like, okay. And then Chris comes back and he's writing down on a piece of paper what he wants from the parts store. I'm like, let's just go in and get it. And he goes, no, they're closed. There's a sign on the door, closed for cleaning the floors. And I'm like, isn't that like a nighttime? Like after you're
Right.
like, why don't you do it? Come back at 9, right?
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? And the only thing I can figure is someone got shot and they were mopping up the blood. So anyway, he writes down, I need a thermostat and some coolant and blah, 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 you know, get all this stuff squared away for my big block. And I'm like, well, I need some oil and some this and some this. And
Because I assume we haven't got an oil report lately.
oh no, it's 2 quarts a day.
Okay. Just in general, you're just going to leave that out and just put 2 quarts a day.
Yeah. So we're standing at the back waiting for this dude to come. Chris gives him $60 cash in the ghetto to go in and get parts in this closed ass fucking O'Reilly's. And he's like, dude, I think this dude just took my $60. I'm like, nah, no way. And then this guy comes out. He got there after us to like dump some oil, and the guy let him in the back door to dump his oil. And then this girl comes out. What y'all doing out here? I'm like, we're waiting on so and so to bring us our parts back. And she's like, well, go on in. Doors open. Like, what the fuck? Like, apparently they finished cleaning the floors. So we go in there and
Unbelievable.
we get our stuff. I get my oil, and I wanted some belt dressing. They were out of belt dressing. All right, whatever. Second O'Reilly's in 2 days that had no belt dressing. Out of stock. National shortage on belt dressing, apparently.
It's the next conspiracy theory.
They're trying to get rid of the old cars by limiting the belt dressing.
So anyway, we go back to the White Castle, pick the girls up, and everyone's done at the venue, so we meet at the hotel. And we just pop up our chairs, and we get our coolers out, and we just start drinking parking lot beers. And some lady who's a EMT for horse jock, because we're right next to the Kentucky Derby,
Something Downs.
Yeah. What's it called?
Churchill Downs.
Churchill Downs. Yeah, we're like across the street. And this lady pulls up, been married 44 years, just got a divorce in April. And she's just out being single. It's her first birthday she's ever been single since she was 19 or whatever. And just going on and on. Amanda was pissed because the lady wouldn't show. She's like, this bitch is fucking annoying. So anyway, we changed the thermostat in the parking lot of this hotel. And then my buddy John Flowers shows up with 2 just absolute, just fucking wild ass motherfuckers. And he pulls up, about runs me like 2 inches from my lawn chair. He about hits me with
I was
his.
going to bump him. I changed my mind last minute.
Did he message you and like you told him?
I
where
told
you're
him
at?
what hotel we were at,
Okay.
and then he never said where he was at. He just fucking
Showed
showed up. And
Show up and show out, baby.
so I gave him a blue ribbon.
It don't matter what part of the United States you're in. John Flowers is showing the fuck
Yeah,
up.
it's just-
California, Kentucky, whatever.
We've got a working theory that since you're a government employee, you're sent to spy on us. So that's our working theory.
Yeah, you're our agent.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
He's everywhere all the time.
So John pulls up, and what were these dudes' names?
So it's my good buddy Andy and
Lee.
his buddy Lee.
So Lee gets out. Was he wearing a cutoff?
No, he's wearing no shirt at all.
Because in my mind, he was in a cutoff. Like, that's how, this is how, what?
Like, these guys are here to party.
Dude, they showed up drunk already, right? It's fucking 7 o'clock and they're fucking already drunk.
So did you fly in and ride with them then?
So I guess if this is my part of this.
Yeah, go for it. This is your part.
Yeah. This is where John enters the script.
I have to look at the calendar here. But so my daughter graduated the 6th of June. So I wasn't able to hit the first couple days because I had like family in town and stuff. But
In town here?
no,
Or in town in
California.
California? Okay.
So my mother-in-law and my sister-in-laws flew in, and my mom flew in. So I was able to meet the first 10th or 11th. I think my mother flew out that Sunday or Saturday or something, and then I went to Disney the day before I flew out on like a Tuesday or whatever. So I fly in to Indy, and my Mustang's been parked at my buddy's shop. My nephew wanted to drive it to prom, and he had to fix the neutral safety switch. I really didn't want my nephew going to prom with the pushing the wires together. Like, I'm completely cool being super white trash and doing that last minute, but I didn't want to. So I had him fix it, and then when he was done with it, he brought it back to his shop, and the hood hinges were janky. So I ordered some CJ Pony parts, and
Mustang parts are cheap.
yeah, dude, when Sam talks, I feel so much better about myself. But
CJ Boney, when you order shit, they're like, we'll just get you next time. They're on the house.
and yeah, we ran into some shipping issues, not as bad as Sam's issue. Like, Sam has the worst luck ever. I want to go to the casino with him. But they're like, we can't ship parts not to the billing address. I'm like, you've done it like for me like 3 times.
Right.
Yes, you can. But anyhow, so I fly in, and obviously we had problems with our flights. So we kind of came in.
Obviously.
Yeah, every time I fly, it's always a nightmare. Every airline except Spirit. And Spirit, I'm too big to fly with them. They don't make seats for big guys. But anyhow, so I fly in and I get to Andy's shop probably like 1 or 2 o'clock, and I was supposed to have been in Indiana way sooner. The best part is my sister-in-law. I love her so much, but she's kind of funny. She shows up to pick us up, gaslight on, like. I'm looking at this, and I asked her about the oil change, and she's like, oh, yeah, I was supposed to change that. I'm like, oh, God. I was supposed to change that months ago. I just haven't had time. I'm like, I don't understand how that's possible. But anyhow, so I get to Andy's shop, and then I had to go get my driver's license in the Illinois DMV, because my license is expended, or expired, rather. But I'm not even going to go into that. That just took way too long.
Typical Illinois DMV situation.
So is this what your brothers, you call him Uncle, when you had the last podcast, the one that Uncle Chad?
Yeah.
So his wife picked you up, or is this?
No. My wife's sister.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So my wife's sister showed up. Tim's not married. He tried that.
I can see that.
Yeah, his first wife, I told her no, and she didn't listen, and then she learned.
She gonna learn today.
Yeah, Tim's fun, but I could see how you get on people's nerves. But
I got a friend named Sam like that.
so anyhow, so I finally get to the shop. So we bang on the car and try to work things out until like midnight, and there's like a transmission leak, and we're not going to worry about that. We just worried about the wheel bearings and the hood hinges on the way from Route 66 from like being crusty car, like we're broke. I just took the springs off of them, so we replaced some of that stuff, and I feel like we did a lot, but looking back, I don't really remember what all we did.
Did a lot for leaving an hour later.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so we messed with it, and we went home, and I went to his house and slept on the couch and stayed up too late drinking and harassing with his wife and stuff. His wife's kind of funny. But the next morning, Lee that night we were messing with the car. His buddy Lee shows up. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, we're trying to get this car to go on a road trip. And he's like,
I'm in.
Yeah. And we're like, backseat of a Mustang's going to be tight. Now, I'm not riding back there. And he's like, me neither. And he's like, I'll fit in there.
This dude was a riot,
We
dude.
need to start videoing this.
He was like, did you ever hear about the J-Ball guy from California
Yeah, a little.
with the big lifted Ford? Like Lee is like a J-Ball that has no money.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So Lee is funny. Okay. And he's an HVAC guy too. So it just makes it worse. But, anyhow, it really did keep the spirits up high. So he's like, all right, I'm in 100%. I'll be here tomorrow morning.
So Andy is your cousin?
No, Andy's my good friend. I grew
Oh,
up with
gotcha.
him.
Okay, gotcha.
So all my friends from Illinois and Indiana are named Andrew, except him.
Nice name.
It's a good one. So, yeah, the next morning I get some parts from O'Reilly's. They don't shun me like Snap-on would. They get them right there to me.
Yeah.
And this one was open apparently during business hours.
Yeah, so I ordered like a water pump and starter and stuff, and they got it to me the next day, and I just put it in the trunk in case because my starter's like cracked in half. But I didn't change it because that'd be wasteful. Just like
Well, when you start fussing with stuff, it's when you go to change it and then the battery cable breaks. So you go to like change the battery cable and then it's just before you know it, you have to restore the
since
car.
you're in there.
Yeah, since you was.
Yep.
So we just did some basic stuff and fought with the hood getting it closed back normal. But once we got there fired up. Lee showed up drinking at like 8 or 9 a.m. He was so excited, man. I was really glad for him to come because he was, and I guess he's been, I don't know, I'm not sharing his personal stuff, but he needed a trip.
He was going through some shit and needed some guy time.
And he was excited, like boom out the car, like, what do you need? I got a Duralast socket set. Let's go. And he was like,
I built it last.
so that was all good. And he jumps in the car, and it's a good time. And we run all the way through Indiana, the back roads. I'm like, well, if we're doing this power tour thing, so we wandered up and wandered around, I think up by Bloomington. I don't even know what the highway was. We had a really good time. But we ended up getting to Louisville kind of early before like a lot of the car guys showed up there and walked around, and there was designated drivers and there was designated drinkers. Okay, and I was the designated driver, and cars were coming in. He's just walking through the cars, and he's not a car guy whatsoever, and he is just excited,
Yeah.
like super excited about seeing all the wild cars, and there were plenty to look out. We ended up at the back of the parking lot where it's kind of shady and like the cars are rolling out, and he is hammered at this point. Just hammered. I'm glad he had a good time. I had a good time with him. He took soaking up the back seat of a 65 Mustang. If you've never been in one, like, they're tight. And he took it up like a champ. But we're at the back of the parking lot, and he's getting people to burn out and stuff. Like, it is awesome.
Shirt on or off at this point?
Oh, it was off. As soon as we got to the parking lot was super hot. But we had a good time. He didn't do anything. He wasn't disrespectful or nothing, or didn't do anything crazy. I was waiting for it. We're on the cusp, but like he was
Right on the line.
He kept it together.
yeah, he was. So we got to see a bunch of cars, and then I asked Sam, like, "Where's this at?" And so I went and was able to actually get a room. I was really worried about it because everyone made like a big deal about it on the internet, like, you won't be able to get a room, and I'm like, I'll bang it off the route 20, 30 miles. I'll find a room. I'm not. It shouldn't be that hard, but I was able to get a room right at his place where he was staying. They didn't have a pool though.
Sorry. So Lee gets out of the fucking Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I introduced John to the whole group of guys. We're all sitting in a circle drinking, and I was like, "This is John. He's my internet stalker. He's my government agent. The whole introduced him the whole 9 yards, how we met and everything." And I was like, he does some wild ass shit. And he's like, car guy, I told him about the Route 66, Sunshine to High Crime. And I told everybody knew about that from before because I don't ever shut up about it.
Except Lee.
So Anyway, Lee gets out of the car with his little JBL bump box stereo thing. He's like, "Hey, you guys want to listen to music?" And we're like, "Sure, yeah. What's up?" And he's like, "You guys care if I play 50s music?" And we're like, okay." He's like, "Oh, we've been jamming to it all day. I ain't gonna change it now." And he just like starts pulling like all this old like 50s oldies music, you know, just like way left field shit. And Chris Gebhardt fucking knew every song. I don't know where the hell he got his 50s music kind of information from. And so anyway, then like the burnouts all started.
Oh, we forgot about the guy who had a Suburban was having, like, they gave him the wrong thermostat, and the guy wouldn't give him the right cap, which you can look those up, and I have the part numbers if you want them to get the actual safety caps. But he didn't have he couldn't get a 13-pound cap, or he couldn't get he asked for a 160 thermostat. They gave him a 195.
Yeah.
I had a good 160, but it was a little crusty. I don't know. Some people are more particular about things than I am. I was like, "Oh, I think that's the right size for a Ford and a Chevy." And he was like, "Oh, I don't want that crusty thing." So he like cuts up a new one just to have to let it flow.
No. He put the 195 back in the box, and I gutted the spring out of the 180 that was in there that I suspected to be sticky. And
Never
then
let a truth run a good story.
Oh, sorry. So then John had a safety radiator cap or whatever, because we didn't really want a 16-pound. We wanted a 12 or a 13-pound. John's like, "Fuck, I got one." So he put it on there, and we were like,
It was a year old, and it like must have got dry because it didn't work for him.
yeah. So anyway, we're like, "We need to go test this out, make sure it's gonna work." And we're like, "There's a pizza place down the street, like, I don't know, Derby Pizza or some bullshit." So we go in there, and I order 3 pizzas and cheese sticks for the whole crew. And he's out idling outside the parking lot, waiting for it to warm up, you know, which with a gutted thermostat takes a minute. And so I'm waiting on the pizzas, and I'm just getting the pizzas back, and he has the truck off, and he's outside with the hood pop. I'm like, "Uh-oh, what happened?" He's like, "Well, it's fucking leaking out of the new radiator cap." And I'm like, "Okay." So like where the little safety lever is, it's like bubbling out of there, and then not going into the overflow bottle, which was a Captain Morgan bottle. A handle of Captain Morgan.
I didn't see that. I missed so much about that Suburban.
It's so cool. It is fucking cool as shit. So anyway, it was just coming out of the under the cap, not going into the over. Anyway, so we're like, okay. So at this point, John had left to go do something.
We went to Walmart to get some snacks.
Oh, so I texted him. I was like, "Hey, do you have that other cap by chance or whatever?" So he ended up putting the 16-pound or whatever cap that we got wrong at O'Reilly's on the Mustang, and then took his 13-pound. No,
I just went and bought another one.
Oh, you just went and bought another one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I went and bought another good 13, and I returned that junk one because I don't want to get scammed by O'Reilly's.
Because John knows the part number, apparently. So,
Boom, baby. Solid.
So, but yeah, so that one, that worked out pretty good. We got the whole overheating issue on the Suburban all squared away. And John comes back, and they got the grill out. They started doing some parking lot grilling. You guys had hot dogs and hamburgers or whatever. Bratwurst. And we were just drinking out in the parking lot, having a good time. And then the burnouts started across the street. Like, our hotel had no burnouts or whatever.
Sad face.
And so did you guys walk?
Yeah, we went and chased the burnouts around town.
Oh,
for
okay.
The rest of the evening, yeah.
Because like John's whole crew just took off. Didn't ever see him again the rest of the night.
One of your crew was like, "Oh, I'm glad you guys aren't driving." I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I was trying to catch up with those guys. Those guys weren't driving for sure, and
Right.
And I can't afford a DUI, so
Yeah.
no. We kind of cruised over to check the other motel out, and then supposedly there's burnouts on the other side of the highway, and we went and checked those burnouts out, and we kind of made a night of chasing burnouts and nonsense.
So we decided that to go from Lebanon to Hebron was going to be a long trip. So we needed to be on the road by 7. So we all get up and shower and get ready. We all meet out in the parking lot and eat our breakfast. And John's nowhere to be seen, which I text him that night, like, hey, we're going to bed. We're going to be leaving at 7. No text back or whatever.
My phone was dead from running GPS all day.
So anyway, we go ahead and take off, and it takes us a long time to get to Hebron. It's a pretty decent haul from Louisville to Columbus, and we took a couple really nice old scenic routes and stuff, and I was able to get 93 octane every gas station except for the one we stopped at just crossing from Kentucky into Ohio, right across the river. But I bought a bottle of octane booster, and it didn't. So, seat of the pants wise, I felt like I was a little down on power, but it didn't sound any different. No pinging or anything like that. So I wasn't really concerned about it because I 18-gallon tank. I only put 13 gallons of 89 in it with a bottle of octane booster. I thought, I think we're probably good, So I don't know if octane booster is snake oil or if it's for real but I don't know. So it was fine. We made it. So
and the radiator is snake oil.
The water wetter is snake oil. We put a bottle of that in the Suburban.
Since you guys put a bottle in the Suburban, I was at Walmart. They had it. I put a bottle in the Mustang.
Did it do anything?
I had no idea.
So, I understand chemically how it works because I know what a surfactant is chemically, and it reduces the surface tension of the liquid, and it's essentially like what soap does is it releases the surface tension of the water. That's why, like, when you put like pepper on a paper plate with water and like you drop a thing of Dawn in it, it like fucks it all up. So the idea behind it is if you reduce the surface tension of the water inside on a molecular level, you have micro bubbles of steam against the water jacket, and this water wetter reduces the surface tension and reduces the size of the microscopic bubbles against the water jacket and increases the surface area of the water touching the metal, increasing its cooling efficiency is the theory. Now, whether or not that actually makes a difference, I don't know. I put a bottle in the Dart once, didn't make a fucking goddamn bit of difference.
$5, I'll give it again.
And that's what I told Gebhardt. He's like, "Do you think this shit really works?" I was like, "It's not gonna hurt anything. Like, it's not gonna make your cooling system less efficient. If it does anything at all, it'll be a positive. It will never be a negative." So we're like, whatever. It was $5. Put a bottle in it. Whatever. So
the derby car guys, the thing is they put Dawn fabric softener in the cars. And I think that somehow does the same thing.
Which is a surfactant. It's a soap. It does the same exact thing, chemically speaking. So,
but for way less.
For way less money, yeah.
It smells better.
So when the radiator blows and it showers you, it cleans your clothes.
Springtime.
Mountain spring and whatever.
Yeah, I ever did it once. You kind of give it a little gulp, and you give it more than you wanted, and springtime, baby. The whole stand got a little taste of it. I don't know if any of this stuff works. I give it a shot for, maybe it could.
Maybe it could. So, Hebron, we just kind of went in and got our credentials punched and then left, and we actually ended up staying about 20 minutes to the west of Hebron towards Columbus, which would take a little time off of our travel the next day on Friday. And come to find out, your pro tip number 2 for the power tour, which we found out later, a lot of people do this. They don't book a hotel room at all. They leave the venue because the venue closed at 6 o'clock. There's nothing to do but drink between 6 and bedtime. So a lot of guys will leave the venue and just drive as far as they can towards the next one, pull over to a hotel that will have vacancy because it's a Wednesday night or whatever.
Right.
Grab a hotel room, go to sleep, and then you only have an hour and a half or 2 hours the next day to drive. And you get to the venue that much sooner, that much less to drive. You have some time to sightsee, blah, 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 whatever. So we ended up staying. We stopped at this little junction 9 miles south of Hebron that had a little bar and grill / drive-through liquor store thing, which brings me to My only real legitimate complaint about Power Tour, which has nothing to do with Power Tour, it's just a societal thing in general. If you have a establishment that serves food or alcohol and you're in the Midwest, I'm not speaking about California or Florida or Mexico or the Bahamas or whatever. Put your tables inside in the air conditioning if it's 85 fucking degrees outside. I'm in a car with no air conditioning. I have zero interest in eating my dinner outside in the fucking sun when it's 85 fucking degrees outside. Like, they have air conditioning. Like, they have the whole HVAC system, but they have 7 garage doors on the outside of the restaurant that are opened up. So even if you're inside, it's 85 degrees, but there's no breeze because you're inside. So you might as well sit on the patio where there's a breeze. And it's just, like, we ate at 3 different places that week that, like, it's hot. Let me have some air conditioning. Like, I get it. If you're in California, Florida, and there's an ocean breeze, like, I get it. You're like this fancy, like, hipster restaurant. Like, people want to be outside. Well, like, yeah, everyone's driving a fucking Tesla with the world's best air conditioning down there. Like, we're in Hebron, Ohio. There's not water for 1,000 fucking miles in any direction. This is not a beach resort. Close the doors, turn the air conditioning on. 3 different places, no air conditioning. And we got to Brazil, Indiana, and I said we had a place we wanted to eat in Brazil. I was like, if there's no fucking air conditioning, I'm turning around and walking the fuck out. I'm driving to goddamn McDonald's. And we walked in, they had air conditioning, but it wasn't working real good. But I was like, it was right on the line.
Right on the edge.
Right on the edge. So
Sam was a little sensitive from buying so much oil.
I was, which we'll revisit that. So, so we get to our, where we take off from the eating dinner and we get to this little town, and Gebhardt sees this bar, and we had, I mean, at this point it's like 7 o'clock. We got plenty of time. He's like,
Thursday?
This is Thursday night.
Okay.
He's like, you guys want to stop at this bar? And I missed the part about Nashville when we finished getting all the shit from the Alky Diggers place. We went back and checked into the hotel, like, let's go get something to eat. And we're like, Google Maps, like, bar and grill near me or whatever. So we find this whatever bar and grill. And I've always never liked Nashville, but one good thing about Nashville is, like, at least downtown area, there's so many musical artists and aspiring artists that come to Nashville to quote unquote make it big, that generally speaking, any kind of talent that's there is pretty talented. So if they're like a little cover band or whatever, like it's okay to listen to. So I never did really mind going out in Nashville that had live music, because at least it was decent to listen to. So we go to this like place on Google's like live music, whatever. I was like, fine, that sounds good. So we get there, and there's this chick playing pool, and she's wearing about 5-6 inch high heels. I wear a size 13 shoe. I think she wore a size 14, and she was a good foot taller than me.
My kind of lady.
And I'll just leave it at that. It's June. You can kind of take that for what it's worth. And then it happened to be karaoke night. And I'll try to say positive things. The cool thing about the karaoke that was there was never a like typical karaoke song.
It was in Brazil still.
No, this is Nashville.
Oh, you went way back.
Yeah, I reversed into Nashville because we were talking about bars. So anyway, Taylor, Chris's daughter, picks this place, and if she didn't, we blamed it on her anyway, because we're pretty sure it was a fucking gay bar. And we walked in there and we're like, just put up with it or whatever, and then we left there, and I got my Amazon package.
So you're saying the pool playing chick possibly wasn't a chick?
Wasn't born as one.
Oh, okay.
For sure. So we got to this little bar in this little town in Ohio before we got to our hotel, and I told Taylor, I was like, this is a fucking gay bar. So our group filled this bar. There was 2 people there. We filled the bar, and it was a nice little lady that was kind of running the place. And So Gebhardt says, I'm not I'm not saying she's ever licked of any vaginas, but she's probably held one in her mouth till the swelling went down before. So anyway, she was super nice, and we had a couple beers there before going to our hotel room. And that was pretty well the end of our Thursday. And it was getting warmer. I mean, it was to the point, like, it was 85, 90 degrees. And then Indianapolis, so we left at 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. On Wednesday morning. On Friday morning, we were in, they call it it's Pickerington, Ohio, and they call it Picktown. And we go to Walmart, and I buy more oil at Walmart, and I get a turkey baster for Gebhardt to fix. So, like, John, you'll like this. So we get a turkey baster at Walmart because we assumed they had such like whiny power steering pump. And we're assuming like the fluid's all broken down because it's all bubbly and milky and stuff. So I got them this turkey baster. He sucks all the power steering fluid out of his reservoir with turkey baster, and we refill it and then drain it again and refill it again. And we ended up getting some more oil and some belt dressing. Walmart had a whole case of belt dressing and stuff. They had a whole case of it. So they only had 1 gallon of my oil in conventional. So I had to buy a gallon of conventional and a gallon of synthetic.
What's your oil?
Rotella for 1540. So, anyway, the next Friday morning to go from Pickerington, Ohio to Indianapolis, we were like, we're leaving at 6:30 because Friday is also the Friday night cruise night
in Teutopolis.
At Teutopolis. So everyone want to go through Indy, get checked in, get our long hauler pass and plaques and everything, and then rolling out to T-Town. So we get about halfway to Indianapolis, and we pull over for fuel, and Gary Wines is behind me. He's like, "You're smoking now. Like, you are actually smoking. Like, wasn't never smoking before, but I was smoking on Friday morning." I'm like, well, we had assumed up to this point that I had some scored cylinder walls because running it so fat for so long probably washed out the cylinder walls and scored the pistons. So, like, I was kind of thinking maybe the rings will reseat if we keep driving it, or it'll either get better or it'll get worse. You know what I mean?
Right, we're driving it.
So, I like, at this point, we're fucking driving. Like, the motor's got to come apart again anyway. Like, it's still running. Fuck it. You know what I mean? And I was so pissed off Wednesday at lunchtime, or Friday at lunchtime. I was like, hopefully, I'll just throw a fucking rod through the son of a bitch, and I won't have to fucking worry about it. I can put
You'll never have to fucking be victimized by a second-gen Hemi again in your life.
So, anyway, I was like, fuck it. I'll just keep putting oil in it and fucking run it. So we go to Indy, get our stuff all punched, like, headed home. So we stop at Brazil, and it's smoking more and more and more. So I put 2 quarts in it at Brazil. We eat our dinner, whatever, late lunch, whatever you want to call it. And we take off again, and which we're only, what's Brazil from Terre Haute? Like 18 miles or 24 miles or something like that.
It's not far.
It's not far. So we get into Terre Haute, and we stop in Terre Haute at Archie's Bar in Terre Haute. We found it on another car run or something like that, and it was a pretty cool place. So we went back for a beer there because it was super ice cold beer. At this point, in a non-air conditioned car, when it's 95 degrees outside, you got to stop and find some air conditioning every couple miles. You know what I mean? So we stop and we have a beer at Archie's, and we take off again, and we hop on 40, and still smoking at this point. We get, and a couple times it kind of like seemed like it missed a shift a little bit, but then it was fine. And like, I thought, well, maybe my linkage fucked up. So I dropped it down in a second, it downshifted, dropped into drive again, it upshifted, like, okay, it's fine. We get on 40 and we're driving across the bridge into Illinois, and then it's like really not shifting. It's like something's way not good. And man's like, better pull over and check it. Is it low on? It's like, it's acting like it's low on tranny fluid. She's like, better pull over and check it. So we pull over at this marathon, and I have her hold the brake and hold it neutral because Mopar, you got to hold it in neutral, not park, neutral to check the fluid level. So I pop the hood, and every time you stop at a stop sign or a stoplight, it would like puff smoke out of the hood, and I assumed it was coming out of my breather vents because like you could see some.
You thought the motor was dying.
I thought the motor was fucked up, and I'm put the hood up, and there's smoke. I mean smoke, and I'm like, oh shit! But it's not coming out of the breather; it's coming between the firewall and the motor. So I pull the dipstick, dry. I'm like, oh fuck! So I set the dipstick down. I get ready to go get my transmission funnel. And I look down, and there's a growing puddle of red fluid under the car, and it's dripping right out of the front of the bell housing. And I'm like, okay, shut it off. So she shuts it off, and it stops leaking. And I'm like, well, that's front seal. And I'm like, they're like, what do you want to do now? And I was like, I can't fucking drive it like this. I guess I'll call my dad to come get the trailer and come get me. You guys go ahead. And Chris is like, well, no, Dalton just got home. My truck and trailer's in the driveway. You know, he's coming to T-Town anyway. We'll just have him pick you up. So we pulled out of the gas pump area and got it off to the side. Got our lawn chairs out and started drinking beer again. So we're sitting in this driveway drinking beer. Oh, I forgot. Fucking John. So MIA, right, went Wednesday morning after Louisville. And he texts me when we're about to Ohio. He's like, hey, you guys at Ohio yet? And I was like, we're an hour away or whatever, or just pulling in or whatever. I said, how about you? He said, I don't know. I'm like, you're driving. How do you not know where you're at? So anyway, I text him and I was like, hey, we're dead in the water in West T. And he's like, what are you doing in West T? You know, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I just passed you, but I guess you'd like just missed us because he took a different route. So fucking old John pulls back in the old Mustang.
Yeah,
just
he's everywhere.
Yeah. No guys. His daughter's with him. I'm like, fucking, we got a crew change apparently. So his youngest daughter's with him.
How to make it faster.
And super long story short, Dalton, Chris's boy, shows up. We load it on the trailer, and he drives us home. I put it back in the garage. It's been in timeout ever since. So we finished Power Tour, but did not make it home. 66 miles from the garage, she finally...
That's pretty close.
So
at least the motor's not completely fucked.
So we're assuming that all my smoke from Columbus to fucking Terre Haute was tranny fluid, not oil. Because I asked, because I can't smell it. It's behind me, you know, and Gary said he never did smell oil burning. Like, because when tranny fluid smells, it's pretty clean, you know, so he said he never did really smell like a burnt oil smell. So I'm guessing it was just pouring tranny fluid out on the exhaust and flashing off on the exhaust, which damn lucky it didn't burn the fucking car to the ground.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
So
my my week is I got voluntold I'm helping to set up for cruise night, which was cool. You got to meet a lot of business people in town and rub elbows and stuff. And Brandon Yoakum was, you know, made me kind of feel like a celebrity. He's like, you doing a podcast here? You know, I was like, I can't believe people listen to this, you know. And I brought Wyatt with me each time. He would play with the kids, help set up stuff. I drove the Camaro each time.
Hell yeah.
You know, just getting used to it. Power steering pump isn't hooked up, and setting up for the cruise. Thursday night, it was pretty much all set up, and there was supposed to be a big storm come through Thursday night, so they didn't want to put a lot of the rest of the stuff up and have the storm ruin it. So there was two guys that came from down by Carbondale. There's like a rat rod club down there, like Alto Pass Rat Rod Club, and they had like, it was like 41 or 44 pickup trucks. They were both the same year, same make, model pickup. They were built very differently, but one had a small block with a blower, like a big blower, like 871.
Nice.
And the other one had a small block with just a carb naturally aspirated. And,
so time out.
Yeah.
Alky Diggers, 871 small.
Yeah, I imagine.
They run 1471 shit. Like, that's their bread and butter.
I got the tank.
I don't know what the fuck it originally came off of, but they're like, I was like, you guys do
Big old
870.
Detroit.
They're like, I was like, you guys do 871s and stuff, and he's just kind of laughed. He's like, yeah, for fucking small blocks on streetcars. We're like, okay.
Well, the one with the blower had the hat on it that was hooked to the throttle.
Yes.
Opened it up, but it had the eyeballs on it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why it couldn't? He's like, why's that car got eyes on it? I was like, well, it's just supercharger. Pushes air into the motor. He's like, yeah, but that's weird.
He just couldn't get over it.
Get over it, man. He just couldn't get over it. But they had come in town Thursday night and got an Airbnb for the T-Town cruise.
So we were talking about there's a lot of Airbnbs in T-Town, like a lot. And I guess it's for like weddings and stuff. And if you don't want to stay in Effingham, and I was like there's Airbnbs in T-Town. And then the hand was like, oh yeah, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. So-and-so's got 4 of them. Like, damn.
Yeah. So they came over and was like, hey, and we're like, oh, do a burnout, So they went and there was very minimal water. There wasn't even a hose out. Somehow there was water. I don't know where it came from. Tried to do a burnout, but when you got a front tire that's 4 inches wide and the back tire was 33, 12, 50, 15 BF Goodrich mud tires.
Oh, hell yes.
Yes.
BFGs, nice.
BFGs, yeah. So they tried to do a burnout and just pushed the front tire.
Right.
And they both had headers that had full exhaust, but the headers had where you could uncork them.
Uncapped, yeah.
And they were uncorked, and the one with the blower was loud.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And, we stood 6-7 foot from the truck doing a burnout, but they tried to do a burnout, didn't work, and they drove off. Well, then they come back like, oh, they weren't happy with it. Well, one came in one way, and the other came in the other way, and the rat rod, they had the hot rod, like solid front axle where the front axle's out in front of the truck.
Yeah.
So they went front tires to front tires and sat there and did a burnout against each other.
That was so fucking cool. That made my night.
They did a burnout. Did you see it Friday night or just my
Thursday
Snapchat?
night.
My Snapchat?
Yeah.
Didn't see it in person.
No. I got one from you and from Kyle.
And we were, 10 foot from it, and Wyatt's just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. But why does this fucking thing have eyes on it?
You gotta get that tire smoke, burn that liberal out of
him.
him.
To be like tough, but like I'm getting to the point I can't even breathe.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. Drive home, and I'm thinking driving home, like I've never checked the oil in this car I just bought. So I get home, put it in the garage, pull the dipstick out, nothing on the dipstick.
Nice.
So wake up, go to work and stuff Friday. I gotta help direct traffic. I was voluntold. I'm helping with that. So, which was, everybody bitches about nobody knows how to drive. And I always, people are just sensitive, right? Like, whatever, get over it.
Yeah.
I will tell you, after directing traffic for 2 hours at the car show, 1 in 10 people should not have a driver's license.
That's generous.
Yeah. Like, we would be like holding our hand up to whoa people, and they would just damn near run us over and just go. It was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And, we had a safety vest on. That makes us official.
Sure.
Way official. I got a safety vest in the back of the Mustang. Just
So,
in case.
yeah. Anything you want in a safety vest.
Oh, yeah, jump out. I'll wave it. That was the plan. I was going to wave us in.
But Lara and my wife brought the kids over later. I was directing traffic. They started, doing the kids' power wheels and stuff. And
They had a demolition derby, right?
yeah, kids' power wheels demo derby. On the way there, I'd never put gas in the car either. I drove it to T-Town twice and never put gas or checked the oil in
You
it.
trust the GM gas gauge?
It don't work. It points straight down. So I was like, I probably better put some gas in this. So
How big a fuel tank does that thing got?
I don't know how much was in it, but I put 13 gallons. So I'd say somewhere under 20.
I would say it probably has a 14-gallon tank in it.
Okay, so we were on the danger zone.
Irv Haney's Nova has a 14-gallon tank.
So I get in it to start it. I got gas at Myers oil or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get in it starting, the car barely starts, which I notice it has a brand new starter on it, and I think it heat soaks.
Sure. Because the header's running right next
The headers are right next to it and barely starts. So I fire it up, pull it out, and I get downtown T-Town by, I'm like a couple hundred yards from the event, and I'm already 20 minutes late. And go to let out the clutch. The car's a 4-speed car. Go to let out the clutch, it dies. Go to start it, starter won't even. It's just like roar, 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 and I'm like, this thing's done for. So I push it in a parking lot, walk over, everybody, where's your car? It broke down on the way here. Oh, you fucking idiot, you piece of crap. And I direct traffic, and then start drinking twisted teas, and we're watching burnouts, visiting with people, all this. And everyone, what was your car? I was like, oh, it's broke down, quarter mile from here, didn't make it. Oh, when you doing a burnout? I'm not doing a burnout, because me and Wyatt tried to do a burnout on the country road, and it'll do one for about 3 feet and power out, which I think my rear brakes are too tight.
Gotta spoon them out.
I guess so. Or Nate Milbacher told me to put a vice grips on the
Hose. Yep.
on the hose, but
Classy.
that car would deserve that. So we're sitting there. I already knew Sam Snapchatted me, broke down, almost made it home, 66 miles from home. We're like, what happened? What happened? He's radio silent. Fuck you. Do we need to come get you? Nothing. Like, okay, well, fucking go to hell, I guess. Trolling ass posts like the fucking someone who posts on Facebook, need prayer warriors, but you don't really hear what's going on.
I was channeling my inner boss man.
Yeah. So it's getting a little later, and we're watching burnouts, and like my son's there and his friends are there, and he's been telling his friends all week, my dad's doing a burnout. And all this
shit.
stuff. And he's like, yeah, we're going to do one later. And I had no plans to do one because I tried it on the country road. It was an embarrassment. The car don't run. I'm just going to go look like an asshole.
I want you to know that I have Ken Block's vice grips.
Yeah?
You have Kim Block's vice grips?
Yes, sir. I stole them shit.
Doesn't surprise me.
When I went up there to take the Crown Vic to go jump cars, I was asked my buddy for a set of vice grips. I was gonna cramp them off on the Crown Vic, and he's like, I got a set. So I cramped them on. I helped tow the car home, and never thought about it until like months later.
No shit.
Okay.
Yeah, fancy.
That is fancy.
So, his friends were there. He's like, oh, if your dad does one, like, we'll grade it. And, like, if it's A, B, or C and all this. And Wyatt just, Dad, when are we doing this burnout? I was like, we're not doing a burnout. And he's just like, he's like, oh, and then you turn around, yeah, my dad, we're going to do one later, And I'm just like, oh, like, it's killing me. And, a couple twisted teas. It's like, all right. It's like, Wyatt, we're going to walk a quarter mile back to the car. If it'll start, we'll go do a burnout. He's like, hell yeah. He's like telling all his friends, like, we're going to do a burnout. And apparently I said something about my kid's not going to go to school, talking about the time his dad almost did a burnout at cruise night. And
hell yeah.
Jason said that changed his life.
Changed Jason's life?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, because, like, all my other friends are there. They're not doing burnouts.
Right. Did Jason put a line lock on his damn Jeep?
No, he didn't.
Thank God.
So we walk over there, and he's, like, coming and stuff, and get in, and I was like, get in the back, because he's got a booster seat. He goes, can I sit in the front? And I was like,
yes.
Yeah, I guess, that's fine, And he's just like, hell yeah, this could get any better. It's not exactly what he said, but that was his reaction. He's like, this is going to be good. And hit the key, fires right up. The car, when it's cold, it runs like it's got fuel injection. I mean, it fires right up.
The only thing would have made that better is like, Dad, can I say a bad word?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can.
Yeah, and he's like, this is going to be totally stupid awesome, So we do the cruise route.
So, wait. Question, sidebar. Does Wyatt know that gasoline comes from dead dinosaurs?
I don't know if he knows that or not.
That's a myth.
That'd be too weird for him. He could.
I don't know if he could handle that or not.
Yeah, it'd be like the eyeballs on the blower hat. You know what I mean? I was like, isn't this cool? Yeah, but these eyes are weird.
He's not wrong.
So, we do the cruise route, and the headlights are like you can coon hunt with the headlights. They do not shine on the road; they shine up in the trees, so you can't see anything. And it's like, as Nick says, like it's like having two big lighters on the front of your car. Yeah. So I'm like trying to see. It's got like fucking 2% tint on the windshield. As you've seen, you can't see out of this car.
It has a brow. It does not have a tinted windshield. It has a brow, but the brow goes halfway down the fucking
So
windshield.
I'm like looking between the steering wheel and the dash, so I can see out of the non-tinted part of the windshield.
Blinded by the
Yeah.
AutoZone tech.
Well, then like, what do you do? So I know the car heat soaks the starter. So do you get up in line, turn it off, and like let it cool off and push it? And my buddy Nate's like, no, let it run. Which he had 2 old Camaros.
Does it ever overheat? Or you said the Tim gauge doesn't
Tim
work?
gauge doesn't work.
Perfect.
Never pukes fuel, so I don't know. So we get up there, and I look at Wyatt, and I'm like, I think we need to go speed position. He's like, what's that? He had a ball cap on, and so I put my ball cap backwards. He puts his ball cap backwards, and he looks over, and there's a Super Duty next to us that's like got 12 inches of lift. You know, they're getting ready to do a burnout. Wyatt looks at him, gives him the old honk sign, and the guy's like beep beep, and Wyatt, you can tell he's like never been more alive in his life.
He's fucking pumped.
Yeah.
He's juiced. He's ready.
So, everybody's texting me, let me know when you're going, because the line to do a burnout is pretty long. So I, text everybody, getting ready to do a burnout, I'm in line. They pull me up in the water, and dude, it's like, you just got like tunnel vision.
Oh,
there's
big time.
1,000 people looking at you. You just can't look. I don't know how this is going to go. Friggin' just rev it up, put my foot to the floor, pop the clutch, and it's just smooth as butter doing a burnout. And before that, my buddy Nate, he's like, you do it. I said, should I do it in first or second gear? Because first gear is a little slow, really. And he's like, do it in first, then shift to second if you can. Terrible idea. So this thing's just burning it amazing. I'm like, time to put on a show. So I go to grab second, comes out of first gear, does not go into second gear, dies. And everybody's like, boo, you suck, And
I've got the video, John, if you want to see it.
Poor Wyatt. Oh my gosh. And no, Wyatt doesn't care. He's like, yeah. So I go to start it, and it's so loud because the music's playing. People are just
Screaming,
and hollering.
yeah.
There's people like, hell yeah, brother. There's people like, you suck. And, I'm just hearing all this. So, of course, my friends work the event. So they walk up and like, you're going to have to push me. I don't think this car's going to start. And Luke Poe puts his head in the window. He goes, is it cranking? I said, I don't know. You turn the key, but it's so loud you can't hear if the car's cranking. And he's like, put your foot to the floor and turn the key. So I put my foot to the floor, comes to life, and clean it out, put it in gear, pop the clutch, do another little small burnout, and I'm like, all right, I better stop. So, I'm pulling away, car dies again. I'm like, oh no. Hit the key, it fires up, we drive off, and Wyatt's like, back in line, we're doing this again. And my friend Nate, who I keep mentioning, is wanting to buy the car, because he's had 2 of those Camaros before. And he's like, text me, like, he's like, where can I see this car? Where can I? I said, I'll go park by the Ball Diamond Fair. I park by the Ball Diamond, he can look at it, we get back in line, do another burnout. Well, by the time we got done looking at it and talking, the burnout
was over.
It ended. Yeah. So, but Wyatt was just jazzed. Like,
so, we talked at length every night about your Camaro.
Yeah.
Everybody on the power tour loved it. Showing them pictures like, Dozer just picked this
Everybody
up.
with me.
Did you not see it? I was showing him pictures on Wednesday night.
Show me.
I'm sorry. I
could tell in
apologize.
his face tonight when he saw it was the first time.
I heard that thing whining down the road.
Noise gear and all.
Noise gear.
Yeah. So anyway, everyone fucking digs it. Marlene loves it. She is in love with that car, and she's like, "That's exactly what Dozer needs. Like, he needs to work slowly on this Falcon, get it going, but this Camaro is gonna keep him, motivated to work on the Falcon." Blah blah. And she goes, his kids are gonna fall in love with that car. He's not gonna sell. I was like, well, you don't know Dozer. Like, he sells fucking everything. Like,
Yes.
if it ain't nailed down, it's for sale. And so like everybody, like the Haneys, Gebhardt, like they're all fucking in love with this. Like, this is the perfect car. Like, it is just enough of a shit box that you don't care about it, but nice enough that you don't mind driving it. Like, and like just to see like Wyatt's face, you Snapchatted Wyatt from the passenger seat with his ball cap on backwards. Like This dude is on cloud fucking nine. Like,
Yeah.
you have never been cooler to your son than you
for
were on
sure.
Friday night.
It only took $3,700. So when we go to buy the car, I brought a stack of cash because I took everything I had at the house.
Right.
And it was like 20s and 10s, and so it's a big stack of cash.
Yeah.
And Wyatt looks at it, he goes, "How much is this car?" I said $3,700. He goes, "That's way too much to spend on a piece of shit."
Did you say piece of shit?
It's a piece of junk.
Oh.
And I texted my father.
Don't let the truth get in the way
I
of a good
texted
story.
my father-in-law that, and my father-in-law goes, "You should listen to your son."
The wisdom.
So let's talk about that. I said like $4,000's a good deal. Like Nate said
Right.
$4,000. Like everybody millennial and down said it was a good
My
deal.
father-in-law is like, ain't worth over $2,000.
And so you called me about that.
Yeah, and like my buddy Clayton, who has Camaro, like he's had late model Camaros. He's like, "Yeah, you overpaid for that," But so I've got like half the people told me I just lost that money. You might as well just should have set it on fire. And the other half is like, "You did good."
So
Pretty clean ratty Camaro.
It's clean
like
ratty.
It's like high class white trash
Yeah.
Camaro status. You know what I mean? It's like Kid Rock. You get a Lincoln.
that's the name. That's the name of that Camaro, Kid Rock.
I thought it was going to be Cocaine Camaro, but it's definitely Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
Yeah, it's like you got a Lincoln Continental and a Grand Marquis. Like it's out there. It is nice. It's a little ratty. It's a little,
It is a Berlinetta, so it is.
I don't even know what that means.
It's the luxury package. It's an interior package.
What's luxury about a Camaro in 19?
Has air conditioning.
Power windows
That you cut off?
cruise control, and AC.
So only thing you got left is
And it
power
has
windows.
special wheels, but it's got aftermarket wheels.
Yeah.
on it, so those are
You got
gone.
power windows.
You got power windows, and they work.
That's
It's the only thing on the
respectable.
car that works.
And then the center like a Jeep, which is kind of fancy.
Yeah, super
If
fancy.
Nobody else knows that about a 1980 Camaro.
So you had talked to me about this, and basically what I said is everyone who said you got a good deal has bought cars in the past year. Everybody who says you got screwed hasn't bought a shit box in a while.
Right.
So Jerry remembers when that car was worth fucking $900.
Yeah.
In better shape than it is now, right? But like, have you go try to buy a fucking Ford Escort? Like it's fucking $5,000. If it runs and drives, it's worth fucking $1,000.
Right.
It's probably worth $2,000. If it runs and drives, it's worth $2,000.
So this is the most shocking part of this whole thing. So my whole family are not gearheads. So I didn't even tell my dad about this because I don't want wasting your money. Goddamn, you're never gonna be fucking amount to nothing. Fucking buying shit boxes,
Be proud you're not spending money on cocaine.
So
Right.
that's what I've been saying. Though the car I drive suggests that's not the case.
It's powder blue for the listeners.
With a noise gear.
Yeah. So I drive it tonight because we had Father's Day at my mom and dad's house, which happy Father's Day to all the fathers. And I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. So I wasn't even going to say anything. So the kids wanted to ride with me. So we get there.
How could they
and,
not?
Right? Thank you.
Jump in a caravan or jump in the Camaro, baby.
So,
Fuck yeah.
so the kids, kicking my mom and dad's door. We're here in the race car. Well, this conversation's happening.
260 horsepower, baby. 350.
Emma calls it the race car.
Hell yes.
My wife,
82 heads, baby.
my wife is like, excuse me, what?
It may have a little bit of power steering leak, but
Yeah.
it rips, baby.
Yeah, so, when we left, we came to town tonight, I pulled out on the highway, and it will squeal. If you floorboard it, it'll squeal the one, I assume.
Must be nice.
Oh, when I did the burnout, blessing from the Lord, the wind blew the smoke from one wheel well into the other, so it looks like I was burning both of them, but it was only one.
Right.
Don't let the truth get in the way.
That's right. It's a good story. So, I run it up to like 75, and my daughter, she's 5. She's like, hell yeah, this is amazing,
Yeah.
So she, kicks in the back door of Grandma and Grandpa's house. We drove the race car here. And they're like, what? The race car? And I'm like, oh, well, guess we're going to have this conversation. I guess my mom and dad are going to find out I own an 80 Camaro. So they, come out in the driveway. Grandpa comes out in the driveway with his cane. It's a whole thing. And my dad's like, is that the one? Is that the one from 40? I'm like, yeah. He's like, nice. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? He's like, that's not bad. He's like, what's something like that cost? I said, $3,700. That's a deal. And I'm just like, what is happening in my life?
My whole life is a lie.
And, what are you going to do with it? And it's like, oh, I'm probably going to sell it. And then, okay, you don't need something like that. And why? It's like, we ain't selling it. This is, my first car.
Yeah. That would be so fucking epic for Wyatt's first car. You have no idea.
That
Dude,
goatee
Coulter would be so fucking jealous of fucking Wyatt. It would ruin him.
So I drove it to, I work out at CrossFit, and I drove it Wednesday morning.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. You can't do it and not mention it, But I drove it.
It's a cult.
And I told...
Speaking of cult, I'm making my own.
You gotta come back to that because you said I said something was expensive. You said not if you join my cult. So we're gonna circle back.
But I told everybody at the gym, I was like, yeah, it's got a cassette player, but the tape stuck in it, and it plays Here I Go Again on My Own in loop. They thought I was serious. I thought I was serious.
So like,
I wish you fucking did.
that's like the Fierro from How I Met Your Mother has played the Proclaimers on loop. Hell yes.
And I was like, no, it does. They're like, well, what if you try to get a screwdriver? I was like, it don't. And I was like, it doesn't even play it all tonight. Emma was like, does this car play music? I was like, no. I was like, the exhaust pipe is the only music. She's like, all right.
I'm buying you a White Snake cassette on eBay right now.
Yeah.
You guys go ahead, continue.
That's like an Amanda gift because
Hey, I have a
I've only
cup holder
that's
for
only
you.
like 1/10.
Huh?
I have a cup holder for him.
That's only like 1/10 of the project because now I got to get the Jensen. What you call it, the Beat Blaster?
Oh, in the back seat of it, there's a 300 watt or 400 watt Jensen boom to booms.
Boom to
There's a
boom.
big old amp in the back of it. The thing was just screaming some White Snake.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe
So,
some Metallica. Who knows?
Yeah, it's like embarrassing, but everybody's pretty on board with it. So,
I like it.
Samuel, how was I'm gonna do this. I was discussing with Sam now. I don't think that's a muscle car. I think it's a sports car. You got plastic bumpers. When you turn it on, there's a light that comes on the dash. Just buckle your seatbelts. To me, that's not a muscle car. It's a sports car. Sam said if you're not racing it around Nuremberg, it's a muscle car. So where's your line on muscle car versus sports car?
I don't really get too caught up in titles and stuff. I was kind of embarrassed bringing a 6-cylinder Mustang on Power Tour, and I was not the lamest. I was really, and this is kind of circling back to Louisville. We parked next to the nicest Mustang you've probably seen. Like, this thing is mint. Got the hood popped or whatever. So I pull up to it with my Ratty McRattermobile, and I pop the hood. It's a 6-cylinder, and just watching people walk by and glance by this guy's 100 point perfect.
Right, he's got the paint pins on and shit.
It is the nicest Mustang you've ever seen. And then they stop and oh, 6-cylinder, that's cool.
Were you the one talking about someone made fun of it being a 6-cylinder and they're like, your car broke down on the way to the church car show?
Oh yeah, that woman that was in Arizona. That was in your car didn't even make it to the church car show.
Burn.
But where I draw the line at with what's a muscle car and what is a sports car. So I think obviously Mustangs and Camaros are out. Okay.
Ooh, hot take.
I think they're out. I think they are always going to be sports cars, like track cars or whatever, because they raced in Trans Am. Muscle cars.
Fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Fair.
And I love javelins too. Don't fucking come at me. I just don't want to search for parts. I love javelins. But I kind of feel like if your car didn't come in an economy package, that was the thing. Throw a big motor in an economy car. I feel like that's the muscle car. The Roadrunner was stripped down, big nasty motor. That's a muscle car. GTL, big motor in a Tempest. That's a muscle car. For me, that's what a muscle car is. You could get a 6-cylinder in a Malibu. You can get a big block Chevy in a Malibu. So that's a muscle car for me. So
Could you get a big block in a second gen Camaro?
God, no, I don't think. In the second gen, I thought that is the second gen. That's like a late second gen.
So
No, that's not. The Camaro is always going to be a sports car for me. I don't like Mustangs and I don't like Camaros for what they are. The only two doors I really have any care for is like a Lincoln Continental and a Monte Carlo or Cordoba with Corinthian leather.
you sent me that ad.
I love that. That ad is so cocky.
So, so my thing was like, Dozer says a sports car. I said it's a muscle car because it's got a fucking Holley carburetor on it. And that's kind of arbitrary, but like I like brass tacks. I get what you're saying. So and
I love them all. I'm not hating.
And what you said it rings true because like as far as like muscle car from the 70s and late 60s goes is like biggest engine in the smallest car thing. So my GTX, we got a love-hate relationship. One thing about that car is it invites so many people to come up and talk to you all the time. Like we were trying to leave the hotel in Ohio and I couldn't fucking leave because there's this dude, like it's fucking 6:30 in the goddamn morning. And this dude is fucking staring, like standing next to my car, like car's running, like it's in gear, like I'm pulling away. And he's like, keeps talking. Like, oh, I had one, but like, okay, dude, like I'm going to get fucking left behind here. Like, I appreciate talking to you. But anyway.
I was the last car to leave the hotel in Louisville, just for the record.
Because when you got back to the hotel after we left the fucking hotel.
No, I didn't. I did not get back after you guys left. But you guys are early risers and rolling out. We were not doing that.
So anyway, at Nashville, we stopped. I got stopped by a guy who was asking me questions about my car, and he had a 68 GTX in the early 70s. And he was telling me about this and telling me about that, and he still has the car, but it's in pieces or whatever. Tell me this, tell me that, and he was talking about how it was a GTX with a bench seat and a 4-speed.
The way God intended.
And it had something that was like odd for a GT, because like a GTX, so the satellite family, right? Like you go satellite, Roadrunner, GTX in ascending order. Well, the satellite in 68, you couldn't get a 440 in a Roadrunner. It was what this guy was saying.
Lame.
And so he assumes that the guy ordered a GTX stripped down to be a race car. Because you could get a 440. I mean, it was a 440 or Hemi and a GTX. No matter what, that's the two options for a motor. So
cool in
for
today's world.
Yeah. So he couldn't get the 440 in the Roadrunner that was the stripped down race car. But he could get it in the GTX, and he wanted the 440. So he ordered the GTX with like all the base fucking options, bench seat, four gear, whatever. And that's the car that this guy still had. And he was just like I was done talking to him, but he was a Vietnam vet.
Did you get his number?
No.
Did you get his kid's number when he dies?
No.
He doesn't have it anymore, does he?
No.
Or does
He still has it.
Oh, okay.
He still had it. I'm excited. I want to go fucking hang out with him.
But
we're going to VFW. I'm a lifetime member, baby.
The Legion.
We're
So-
gonna catfish on Friday. I'm gonna have a stripped down GTX, baby.
So anyway, but yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, I guess. Having a car like that, it just everyone wants.
Nobody's talked to me about my Camaro, so I'll trade
not
that.
yet, not yet. No one has
I'm
talked to you.
sure it's gonna be the dude on the DUI electric bike saying, "Oh, I used to have one just like that." Yeah, fucking everybody did, buddy. Get the fuck out of here.
I will say, hands down, the most people who have ever talked to me, and I think I've had some decent fucking cars. The most attention I've ever got was a fucking rattle can Geo Metro that we took on the Gambler 500. I bought it for like $200 like 2 days before, and we bashed this thing across the desert for like 500 miles, and somehow it made it. But so many people would talk to me at every gas pump, which is like once a month, because this car was such a cockroach. I would have like junior guys that worked underneath of me, like, oh, my car's going to the shop. I'm like, dude, take the Geo. And then one kid didn't have a car. And I was like, take the Geo. I didn't care about it. It was $200. Like, we had our fun with it. Ended up selling it, making money, which makes it that much cooler. But the Geo Metro got more attention. And I had, like, in 2008, I had an LS swap, like 87 Monte Carlo that was really rowdy for the time. And everyone's like, cool. But the Geo Metro, like, man, I delivered pizzas in this in Domino's in 1993. Like, every gas pump, like, oh, what's the mileage on this thing? And maybe it was because California. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it has 5-speed because my buddy Meeks, he wanted to come out and do the Gambler 500, and he came around last minute, and he's like, I want to do it right. Less than $500 car, but I want a 4-speed. Because we had failed previously, he took a big block forward with a manual and blew the clutch out of it. But he's like, I want a $500 car, 4-cylinder with 5-speed. And luckily at 2 o'clock in the morning, someone posted a Geo Metro. I was on duty. With anybody who's not in the military, it's just like, you have to stay up 24 hours and answer the phones. It's awful. So I'm cruising Marketplace. Someone posted a Geo Metro, $200, baby. Like, so he got his manual transmission, but only 3 cylinders. I text this guy. I'm like, I'm coming tomorrow. He's like, okay. I'm like, I'll be there. I get off at 8. Like, I'm gonna be there. So I bought a Geo Metro, sleep deprived. It was a good time, and the guy said it ran, and it fucking didn't. And I'm out there messing with it. There was like a wire off. And I'm like fiddling with this Geo Metro.
You want to be pissed, but it's also $200.
You cannot be mad at $200 because like it cranked over and there's like clunk clunk clunk, and I see like this random wire laying there, and I'm like, oh, that looks like that should go back. And it fired up, and like the perfect time, like his wife comes out, I was like, oh, that car runs. And he's like, yeah, it runs. And we drove it home, $200 Geo Metro. And we bashed the crap out of it, and I sold it for a couple $100 more than I gave for it. It was a good time.
Hell yeah.
Wasn't a Camaro, though.
So,
Did you come to a cruise night?
he couldn't make it.
Couldn't. Wow.
Could have.
Should have.
But he broke down. I didn't want to show up by myself. I messed up.
I was there.
I didn't
Cody
know
was
that.
there.
I was there eventually. It just took me a little longer.
Back to my cruise night, or my or whatever this thing we did, a power tour was.
Yeah.
So we leave way late out of Louisville, Kentucky, and everyone's talking about someone wrecked a car on 42. These guys are probably like 200 miles past it at that point. So we're like, oh, we're making our own way. So I'm kind of like fiddling
There
around.
he goes again on his own.
Speaking of what,
That should be the outro.
so $1.99 I bought you a cassette tape, but it was $4 and some change shipping, so it cost me $6. But cassette tape is on the way for the Camaro.
Okay.
Nice.
Continue.
Yeah, so we just ripped it.
Outro.
Yeah, we just ripped it by ourselves, kind of through Kentucky. We ended up going and seeing some Amish kids and waving at them. Some other.
That was the
There's a
highlight.
lot of Amish in Ohio. A lot of them.
Oh yeah, they all got Power Wheels or Hot Wheels. But anyhow, and we see some other Power Tour cars that were apparently lost, and they thought we knew the way. Yeah, because we weren't really in any hurry, because I felt like the Mustang was pretty reliable, and we had a couple dudes, and we were just having a good time. You know, we were just banging country roads. Like, I had no clue between Ohio and Louisville what the actual route was, because as soon as they said there was like some random wreck and everyone was detouring, I gave up on it.
So you just point and shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we did the whole way. We had a good time. We stopped and ate and all that stuff. We had some snacks saved up. So we get to Ohio, and Andy breaks out the bar. Andy has a shop. So Andy has this shop grill, and he's like, the grill at home, I'm not a master, but my grill at my shop, I'm a master.
Okay.
So we pull into Ohio, and we get the grill going and have a good time. And meet up with some other 6-cylinder people. You know, that's really rare.
6-cylinder mafia, yeah.
Yeah.
6 in a row makes her go, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
dude, and there was a bunch of them. The one guy had like a 53.
They were everywhere.
Yeah, so we hung out, and we kind of caught the end of the national. I wasn't taking the Mustang down a trip down the drag strip to get embarrassed, but we checked some cars out and stuff. We at the gas station. The guy pulls up in an old Ford truck, but it has like a Zuzu motor in it. It's 4-cylinder. There's like a 53 Chevy with a 6-cylinder. There's a 60 Chevy with the fucking angry vampire backlights on it. I followed that all the way to Dayton, Ohio, which was cool. So we hung out with a 6-cylinder crowd, and we drove pretty far deep down 70 until we got off a hotel with a pool.
Nice.
Yeah, because Sam's second hotel did not have a pool. But they did not allow us in the pool. Sad face.
Damn.
I was pretty excited about having some 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock swims. But we got with a 6-cylinder group, and it was a good time. But the Mustang, for the whole power tour, and even leaving dude, Indiana I-70 is awful.
Oh, gosh, so bad.
Dude, we jumped off and hit 40, and it was butter smooth the whole way. Dude, I almost whacked a kid with some Hot Wheels. I seen like 3 kids. And we're going through, and like the couple cars in front of us is like doing burnouts for the kids. And I was like trying to throw Hot Wheels. I tried to compensate because the 600 just wasn't doing it. So I see 3 kids, and I flick 3 of them out, and one of them just takes a wild left, and this toddler comes in from the left. Dude, he almost caught it in the eye from like inches. So after that, I gave him the downward spiral, like skipped him off the grass into the thing. But I almost whacked the toddler in the face, and he was literally like 2 or 3. But we took 40 the rest of the way. But the most depressing part was, and I'm gonna put the shameless plug out there. I need a dipstick, and I have the dipstick tube, but I need the dipstick and tube if you have it for a 6-cylinder Mustang in '65, because they are unobtainable. Also, on a side note, any Flowers Pontiac dealership or any Flowers Pontiac dealership from Marshall, Illinois, I want that little scrape off back sticker if you guys can ever find it. Anyone who listens, I had a toolbox with it and I lost it, and that's the only decal I have from Flowers Pontiac dealership.
I bet I know where to find one.
I hope you do.
I bet Stutzman's, or between Roger Eaton's and Stutzman's, I bet the Flowers.
That's not a bad.
Yeah.
That's not a bad. Next time I go there, I'll definitely keep my eyeballs peeled.
Yeah, the car dealership stickers are my number 1, and the John Deere dealership is like number 2. But for the most part, for the power tour, we just cruised and hung out and had a good time.
I bought that Camaro from a guy whose last name was Flowers, by the way.
Really? What was his name?
I don't.
Look at your Facebook message.
Well, I bought it from his nephew, but it was at his uncle's house, whose last name was Flowers.
Oh, okay.
We're probably related.
So
most of the Flowers came here during.
He's got a bunch of muscle cars. They're just like in the woods and under lean-tos and under carports.
My kind of people.
Hell yeah.
So if you notice, that power washing van says Flowers Power Washing that the car was parked next to.
Okay, yeah.
So.
Huh.
It's a unique last name.
It is a unique last
I
name.
bet they're my people. Like 100%, I would put money on they're my people.
Yeah.
See if
They
they got.
seem like your people.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
I'm taking it as a compliment.
So, yeah. So Sam, talk to us a little bit. This is a 2-part question. So try to remember both parts. I'm going to ask them at the same time. Talk to me about your New Balance experience as well as your cup holder sales.
Okay, so New Balance shoes. So the other day I had a return for Amazon, and I took it back to Kohl's. And when you go to Kohl's and return on Amazon, they
You already told this story.
Did I?
Yes.
Okay.
So we know how you bought them. You couldn't use the coupon, all that.
All right. So
Talked about that on.
I got Irv's kids, Irv Haney, just a fucking jewel of a man. If you've ever met Irv Haney, you know him. He is like the nicest guy. The nicest guy. He's got a 72 Camaro. It's got a 307 in it. Never been opened. Never been opened. He bought the car in 70.
Isn't 307 a Oldsmobile motor?
No.
I think they put some Oldsmobiles in that stuff.
So it's a Rally Nova, 72 Rally Nova 307. And there was a guy at Nashville making a comment about how it still had like some tabs on the exhaust manifolds or something like that you don't ever see because it's like some safety bullshit that like every time you pull the exhaust manifolds off, they just throw them away or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it still had them on this car, and the motor's got 270 or 207 or like a bunch of damn miles on it. Never been opened, and he's had the car since he was 17 years old in 1974 or whatever. And he is, like I said, just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. And he is the muscle car dad, like wears white tennis shoes, jean shorts, and white t-shirts. And so his son, Trent Haney, I got a hold of him and talked to him about this New Balance 608 deal. And he was like, yeah, that we should do that. So we planned. Trent went, yeah.
Okay, the one that worked with Eric?
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Trent,
about our age?
yeah,
Okay.
Trent and Travis, both of Irv's sons. And Travis is from lives in Pennsylvania now. Anyway, so they were on board with the whole thing, but except neither of them brought New Balances.
Out of London pair.
Yeah, but they both brought jorts, and so Trent's mom, Irv's wife, the Monday that they were, so they took off Sunday before us. The Sunday was their 45th wedding anniversary. And Irv was like, let's go on the power tour. And she's like, is there air conditioning in that car? He said, no. She says, I'm not going. Have fun. Take the boys. I ain't going.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Ain't happening.
so Trent got a hold of his mom and was like, this is what we're planning. And she was like, I can't wait to get rid of some of your dad's old car t-shirts. So she got like 4 or 5 of his old white car t-shirts, like Street Machine Nationals, Barrett Jackson, like the whole thing, Camaro t-shirts. And so Thursday morning we come down and we determined Thursday was the drip day, right? So
He did not let anyone else know it was a drip day, for the record. I'm a little salty.
I'm sorry, because Friday was your drip day.
No, the whole week was
It's drip week.
Friday was Sam's transmissions drip day.
So anyway,
funny. That's weird.
we all came down.
Too soon. It's too soon.
We all came down in jorts. I had white crew snap-on socks.
Me too.
I brought a pair for Travis because he didn't bring any. And I was wearing my T-Town Cruise Night shirt, but Trent gave me a white Barrett Jackson shirt. And so we went all day Thursday in our whole we were just like living the dream, right? We had our dad outfits on, which everyone was wearing white socks with shoes, but not the actual New Balance 608. So anyway,
Disrespectful.
all right. So anyway, we're eating dinner at this out fucking side restaurant. And
97 fucking degree.
We're in Florida, close to the fucking ocean.
and Irv has like seen us since 6:45 this morning, right? And he's like looking at Trent, looking at Travis, looking at me.
We all got his shirts on.
We're wearing his shirt. And he finally realized we had his shirts on. He's like, where'd you guys get those? And Trent goes, Mom got them out of your fucking closet. And he's like, I thought them shirts looked familiar. Travis was wearing a 1997 Street Machine National shirt. And I don't have it, but there's a picture of all three of us standing next to the Nova in our dad outfits. It's fucking great. So
I'm not in it.
well, you were probably still in fucking Ohio somewhere.
Having a great time.
And the second part of the question was, how did cup holder sales go? So Mopars were probably less than 2% of all the 7,000 cars that were there.
They did all the burnouts leaving Louisville, though. I will give them that. Mopower came through. We got yelled at. I got yelled at by the golf cart people, but the Mopowers.
The golf cart people.
Oh, yeah. They came and they're like, quit telling people to do burnouts because Lee was doing a great.
Oh, man.
Oh, it was. He got them all because he's not a car guy. And he's never been to like a car show before. But he was there a few deep. No cares in the world. He wasn't driving. It wasn't his money on the line. There was his car. Like, he didn't care. And all these cars come by, and he's like, do a burnout. And they would do a burnout. And he's like, I'm the master. All I got to do is do this, and they'll do a burnout. And I'll put it down. Like, I make fun of Mopowers. I make fun of Sam's Mopowers costing so much. But the Mopower guys were really putting on a show. And there was a couple old guys there with us, like... enjoying the burnouts and all that stuff, but I will say the Mopars 120% did way more burnouts than any of the Chevys or the Fords or the AMCs, Packers, or insert. Dude, there was a guy trying to rev like this weird Kia. There was like Kias and stuff at Power Tour, which I'm not hating on anybody. But there was some awful, like, that's...
Did you see the minivan burnout at Cruise Night?
I did see the
Dude,
minivan.
Got after it.
Was it a
Front wheel drive.
It was a Honda Odyssey, front wheel drive.
and just blew him off?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just wiped
Posy.
smoke.
Fucking posy.
That's respectable.
Dude.
So a lot of people had like what they call their quote unquote plan B, like their muscle car broke down
And they burned him.
and they brought their Toyota Camrys or Jeeps or whatever the fuck. So that like I can respect that because you pay your money, you can't really get it back or whatever. So I can respect that. There was a lot of people leading up to this, so like their shit wasn't running the day before fucking Power Tour started, and like they got it going. You know what I
Big
mean?
boss man energy.
Oh yeah, big time.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So
I will get my shit running no matter what.
So anyway, I printed out 75 flyers and had some business cards and stuff, and I handed out maybe 10 flyers because about 50% of the Mopars that I did see were bench seat or non-console cars. So there was one guy that stopped at a gas station next to us that had a satellite that had a console in it, and I was like, "Hey, you need a cup holder for that car?" He's like, "Yeah, I do," but he had like the plastic shitty one that you just hang on the door sill.
those.
Oh,
Those are
me
the
too.
tacky
They're
ones
the
I hate.
shittiest. And he's like, "Well, I would, but my console is full of shit." And I was like, "Well, it could be full of a fucking cup holder." You know what I mean? So I gave him a flyer, and he wasn't interested. So didn't even ask the fucking price of it. So cup holder sales have plateaued 3 weeks ago.
Maybe a Mopar event or something will be.
For the world to know, I get 1% royalties
Yeah.
paid in alcoholic beverages.
Well, I'm got a good
He's
start.
working on that
That's
now.
my 1% of profit is sitting drank on the table right now. So
We're about to see too.
oh shoot.
Well, what have we learned?
So John, you go first.
Well, I made a list this time, so I didn't get.
I seen him writing
bamboozled.
over there. I appreciated that.
Yeah, but it's not. 426 Hemi spark plugs wires cost more than a small block Chevy rebuild. No AC in a Midwest restaurant is a no-go. And apparently in the Hemis, you need to be in neutral, not park.
That's 720. That's Mopar training. That goes for Dodge trucks too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. I wonder what makes a difference.
It does not pump fluid in park, which I feel like is why they burn up so much. Because you just put it in park and it's just hot.
Yeah.
1 in 10 drivers don't need to be driving, or don't need a driver's license. I learned that from you, Mr. Dozer. Speed hats. Backwards.
Yeah. Speed position.
I don't wear hats, so yeah.
I don't know what I wrote there.
Can't read your own.
Way too much for a posse. $3,700 is way too much for a POS, and that's from my man,
Yeah, that's from Wine
Mini
Dog.
Dozer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I learned that Long Beach has a lot to look at.
Double quotes.
Don't call your buddies if you want to be talked out of a bad idea.
Don't call me.
Small block Chevys need minimal oil. Doesn't even need to show on the dipstick.
That's right.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Goddamn.
Metros only need gas once a month. And golf cart people are the fun haters.
So, last.
By golf cart people, he means Power Tour staff. They were like, stop telling people to burn out. And they're like yelling at him like, what are you going to do? You got a ticket book?
Yeah.
Fuck outta here,
What
guy.
are you gonna do? You're gonna arm wrestle over this, or? So, I forgot to mention on the last podcast. So the eclipse happened,
Okay.
and all the people like on Sloppy Mechanics and Domesticated Shitbox Off Road and stuff, they're like, "Hey, don't throw your eclipse glasses away. Those can be emergency welding glasses."
Oh,
And
God.
I was like, "All right, like, deal." So
No.
I built that. I built that welding.
Fucking bet.
I built that welding kit to take wheeling, and Jason's pitman arm broke, and I was like, "Here we are. We're using, eclipse glasses." Well, my contacts got fucked up the first night, and I took them out, so I had regular glasses on. Then I tried to put eclipse glasses on over the top of them, and then it's hot, and the welder's not working, and the rod's sticking. I'm sweating. People driving by asking what you need, and the glasses start getting wet, and the cardboard starts softening on them.
I sweat like that too.
Dude,
I feel it.
Eclipse glasses are not welding glasses at all. Like, don't even try, don't even pretend. It was no good. I wanted to bring that up last time, and I just want to get something else figured out. All right.
I have a good burning story too.
Also, what I learned, John really likes swimming. It's
Yeah.
a big deal. It's important to him.
Swimming pool.
That's right. How you
Movie
beating
stars.
How you beating the heat, John? Swimming pool.
It doesn't have to be a swimming pool. I prefer creeks and bullshit beside the road. I grew up that way out and living in the sticks. We have like slabs that go across the creeks. Like that's the best place to cool off.
Walmart has all the belt dressing.
Yeah.
They
No
also,
shortage.
they also have all the ponchos. I had to pick his up for King of Hammers.
Yes.
I bought all of them in San Bernardino County.
All Midwest restaurants should be air conditioned,
That's a double.
and just leave your car alone. Otherwise, you'll fix it till it's broke.
Yep.
Poor Sam.
So that's what I got going on. But
Alrighty. Well,
anything else? How deep are we into this project?
we are 2 hours and 25 minutes. So
Oh, no one's gonna listen to this thing.
They do for
they,
some
for
reason.
some strange reason, they do. So,
So what's next? You've been beating on this GTX, and it's been your life for like 6 months, or really 3 years. What's next? What do you got? You fixing the GTX, or is it in timeout? Like,
so the GTX is in timeout. John said he would have had the tranny pulled already because his anxiety couldn't catch it.
Absolutely, 100%. I'd have that. Dude, I was ready to pull it out in the gas station.
We'll just fix it here.
Oh, I want to know the converter come apart. Like, is it tranny junk? Is it just a seal? Like, I've been in that thing.
So I'm gonna pull the transmission out of that
Because
this
it'll
winter.
take Dean 2 years to get it fixed.
Yeah,
So.
and my plan is to pull it out, tear it apart. I want to get it out, get the valve body out, inspect what I can see beneath the valve body, see what I can see, put it back together. I want a different transmission pan with more than just a piece of rubber seal, something that's not going to leak everywhere. And I want to order a gear vendor's, wait for it to show up because I'm like, the tail housing leaks anyway. So if you need a 30-cent tail housing gasket, you might as well
Just
put a
$3,000 overdrive on it.
Yes.
God, Sam's money's different than my money. I got Montana State money to pay for college, and Sam's got race car money.
And I have so it's got a Hughes 3500 stall in it, and it's way too much. Way too much for that car.
Never know.
So I have another converter with another transmission that I bought. It's a Hughes, but it's like a 2000 stall. I'm going to throw that in the car when I put the tranny back in. But my next project is going to be getting the Comanche, the LS Comanche. I'm going to get the wiring done on it to the point where it's drivable and Joe Gasper can tune it. And then we're going to put a baseline pass down, then put a 4L80 in it, put another baseline pass down, and then put a turbo on it.
Okay.
Since Paris Auto Speedway told me I'm no longer welcome with nitrous, I may have a nitrous for an LS set up when Sam's ready to pay shipping.
Nice.
Can we do nitrous and a turbo?
You definitely can.
So
that's-
where do you get nitrous in Illinois?
Apparently,
It's a thing because the other day I saw some nitrous shit in Illinois. I say the other day, like a few months ago, and the guy like just had a shitload of nitrous. I'm like, where the?
There used to be a guy at Terre Haute at the track strip. He had like a setup in his trailer. He had like 3 big bottles, and he would fill your little bottle.
I never thought about going to
So,
Terre Haute.
From what I understand, is the place that sells the mother bottles will not sell you a nitrous mother bottle unless you have an insurance policy of $1 million. And it gets to the point like, because they were talking about, I run Street Fighter at Coles County, and a lot of them guys run nitrous, and they said you can't hardly buy nitrous anymore because people don't want to have the $1 million insurance liability policy to fill it, and the welding gas place won't sell you the mother bottles.
So if you guys want bottles, I will ship them from California. They're like $79 to fill up.
They just ship you the empty bottle, you'll fill them and ship them back?
I don't know what
Turbo would be cheaper.
I don't know
Turbo
what.
and nitrous.
Yeah.
I've never tried to ship a nitrous
$10.
bottle, but I do know they sell them for $79.95, and I burn about a half a bottle to a full bottle a night doing 20 laps.
And then they outlawed it.
No, not for everybody. They just said no to me. There's not even in the rule book, and he's just like,
It's not illegal. It's just frowned upon, like masturbating on an airplane.
he's just like, you're not gonna run it with nitrous tonight. And I'm like, what?
Because you're beating everybody.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. The other guy that owned it before me beat everybody. I never beat anybody in that thing. It's bent and twisted and just junk. I'm just having fun.
Huh.
All right, well,
We ready to end this thing?
do it.
John, it was a pleasure having you on. Thanks
Appreciate
for
you coming back by.
coming all the way from California just for the Short Story Long podcast. We appreciate it.
And the tax deduction. It's a business trip.
So funny story. The G&M Restorations paid for Gary's trip, and Gebhardt Enterprises paid for Chris's trip.
Yeah, well, maybe we should incorporate this podcast, and then that shit can be a podcast expense.
Yeah.
So if anybody has a website where I can buy
Get your LLC.
an LLC, we'll incorporate this podcast. We'll start doing deductions.
For the record, I wasn't laying underneath of my rental house in covered mud 2 hours ago before this podcast started.
Oh, what was the name of the so I can go back for reference later. There's a website. You told me if you get a speeding ticket or a DUI.
Oh, shoot. Off the record.
Off the record, there's dirtbag like Better Call Saul lawyers that will fucking erase
God bless them.
erase that shit off your record. So pro tip, if you get a DUI, a speeding ticket, or a traffic violation, offtherecord.com for a couple $100, they'll erase that
Nice.
shit off your record.
And on the record, I did not get a DUI. I got a 5-mile-an-hour speeding ticket in a rental car. It was bullshit. And they fixed it for $100, and I didn't have to take a day off work. I did not get a DUI. It was
Let the record show.
The record.
it was $100. It was the best $100 I ever spent in my life.
And that just goes back to if the penalty for breaking a law is the fine, then laws are for poor people.
That's right. That's right.
I
Just
don't
like
know.
trailer tags.
Yeah, they're yeah. You got lights. You don't need tags. Tags are for people who don't have lights.
Take note, boss man.
You have tags on the trailer. You have tags on the trucks. You don't need both. Which, by the way, I want to add so I'm from Marshall, Illinois, which is just across the state line, not the river, it's the state line in West Terre Haute. But I have a lot of family in West Terre Haute. I pull up in the gas station pump to see Sam, and my cousin. He's kind of funny, but he's driving like a 72 Ford with a flatbed, and he's in the gas pump. And I talk him into trying to do a burnout on the way out of the gas pump so they can see something.
And then I was like, who the fuck was that? And John's like, it's just my cousin. We're fucking in West Terre Haute. John's like, that's my family. It's no big deal.
For the record, my grandparents got busy, and my other grandparents got busy, and I'm related to everybody in Clark County and Vigo County. Just put that out there. I have like 979 cousins, and I'm related to all of them.
I have cousins, and I'm related to them.
I get made fun of all the time, but for real, I have a lot of family.
So that dude in Effingham that's Flowers could actually be
120%. He's a descendant of Captain John Flowers, and his kids and his great grandparents came up here during the Revolution War and fought at Fort Henderson in Terre Haute, Indiana, and then stayed here because they're part of Virginia. that's where all the flowers in this area came from. So yeah, he's 100% somehow related to me.
Fair enough.
And well, we're gonna leave it at that. There's some other flowers from like Chicago and stuff that aren't related to me, but they still call me brother.
Brother.
Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say earlier. For the Camaro, we need to do a legit boomer board for the Camaro.
Yeah.
Make it a 1-of-1.
Oh,
I wanted to
yeah.
do a Mustang one too, like one of 927,000.
And this is that car.
Factory T-code, baby.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely need to work on that. So,
Absolutely, boomer boards are next level.
all right, well, guys, thanks for riding along with us on this one. Went a little long, but we had a lot to talk about. We're glad to have a guest back on. So,
Got to get their money's worth.
yeah,
Hire better guests.
this podcast is worth every dime